from Wild Boys, the
Hello,
leader. Let's start simple though. Who are you?
my name's Brian. I am the CEO slash chairman of the Wild Boys organization slash LLC.
Okay.
So,
Um,
yeah,
let's look, Han. Let's look to the past.
okay.
So, how did you start the org? How did it come to be?
How did I start the org? Well, funny enough, um, one day sitting there with a group of friends at this place called Twin Peaks, and one of my friends mentioned Jinxie, and I was like, Jinxie, who the fuck is that? So they pulled up his Twitch, and we were watching him, and he said something about like a $50,000 like game. I was like, what? There's no way. So me going into Discord and going around, I went through the main R6 server on Discord, and then I got recruited by forgot what org it was, but some small org where me, Knight, and Toxic, or when we get farther into the podcast, they'll become relevant. Recruited me from to go play with them. Well, we joined this org together, and we were sitting there, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Learning on how leagues work, on who runs things. I was like, "I want to do this." So one day, I was like, "Yo, Night Toxic, if I make an organization, will you guys join?" And they were like, "Hell yeah!" And now that's the beginning of Wild Boys right there.
How many teams do you have in the beginning?
Okay, so in the very beginning of Wild Boys, I didn't understand on how necessarily comp worked. I thought as if I get 5 players, I have a team. I didn't understand that you had to have the best of the best, or they all had to be champ. So me, Knight, and Toxic decided to make 23 teams in Wild Boys when we first started, and half the team were coppers, half were like silvers, a couple plats. I think we had one diamond for 23 teams, and then yeah, and then through then we became more knowledgeable in the comp scene. And now, today, I'm pretty sure we have 12 teams.
So to also
Yeah.
go off of that, is there like one player or a specific player or a specific team that helped you gain popularity?
Yes. So, are you guys familiar with the guy named Cosmic?
A little.
Yes.
Okay. So, Cosmic, one day, I was sitting there on Wild Boys posting the looking for org slash players. I was going, hey, join Wild Boys. We're this and that. Well, Cosmic reached out, and his team at the time was called Code Black. And they were, in my opinion, probably one of the best teams in comp at the time. And Cosmic was like, hey, I have a really good team looking for an org. I'm willing to help get you started and etc. So I was like, shit, help me out. Well, Cosmic, me, Knight, and Toxic all got in a VC and we talked. And next thing later, Code Black joined Wild Boys. And from there, we took off like a rocket ship. I think we went from 50 people in our Discord server to 500 in a matter of 2 months. So when I say we skyrocketed, it was very fast.
All
That's
right.
crazy.
And so you kind of contribute your success a little bit to picking up Code Black and all that, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
All
Without
right.
Cosmic, we would have had a very rough start. Absolutely, 100%.
All right. And
Okay.
kind of going back to your players a little bit, who was your like favorite when your org was still developing? If you had to pick, if you had to.
Ooh, see, I can't answer that because
Can't answer.
you got to
I
realize
understand. I understand.
from
Yeah.
from an org owner, if I pick one person, the other person will be like, "Oh, I thought you liked me," and it's just gonna start little fights, and we'll stay away from that conversation.
We'll stay away from the drama on the
Um,
podcast. It's only
Yeah.
episode one.
yep,
We'll stay away.
exactly, exactly, yep. So, but I did have a couple favorite teams. Obviously, Code Black, and believe it or not, 619 was our very first team to ever win us a trophy for our organization. They won D2 Scissor League, and they got a little trophy for it. And that was our, believe it or not, that was our very first team. And ever since then, 619 was with us for a little bit. They left due to certain issues, and they came back. So 619 is probably one of the most loyal teams we've had, believe it or not.
Okay. Looking back from what you know now and all your hindsight and experience, what would you change?
So I came into the comp community wealthier than most. And one thing I did wrong, I would say, is I implemented a pay per win system to a certain extent that which wasn't really known at comp at the time. So I was offering around $30 to $40 per win. Like this is just for a single league game, $40 for the win, and then when you win the league, you keep all the earnings. We want no percentage. Well, frankly, since I came in there making the level of money wise.
There we go.
You were just not paying attention?
Okay, I think we are good to go. If you can hear me, should be fine. Big question mark because it has been iffy today. I only see my stream for Twitch. What happened to TikTok and YouTube? I don't know. I guess that shit just decided to tweak. Yeah. Huh. Hey, whatever. I got 20 on the opposing team is actually wild stuff. I do not support the betting. Except channel points. I'll get a prediction up sooner or later. In which case, bet your ass off. Bro, I need to... He might be legit. I don't... This is what happens when I'm not too engrossed in console comp. I'm here for my game, and then I leave. That's not true. I cast half of your guys' games. Champions League is run 95% casting by me, which might be a little concerning if I'll be entirely fair. Y'all have about as much diversity as, I don't know, a white woman? Like a shitty joke, but I don't think there's one that's within taste. Okay, let's see what we can get going on the road as we have Armani and Sins on a relatively liked map in my opinion. Some people despise it, some people love it. It's a bit of an in-between. I personally think Cafe is a beautiful one to start with, so not so much, but we're open to opinions here.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Overall, I think the... I need my controller to work, please. There we go. There we go. Overall, I think Sins probably have a good chance to win this. Armani is a team that I think is looking up in trajectory. Well, was as of recent, but... some events may have influenced it. This one filters more into their 2-0 win against WOG Monarchs, which to be entirely fair was a very, very good game, but one that was also dominated relatively successfully by Armani. Sins also won about as dominant as you could get for any game in MPV2, beating Vanish, if I'm not mistaken, only losing 3 rounds. I gotta do the numbers on that, but... I'm almost positive they got whooped. Sorry, it was 7-5, 5-7, 7-2. I was off. Well, I mean, let's end it well. Sins certainly hope to at least claw this one into a very, very dominant win, as this is their second round. Hopefully they want to go into semifinals looking strong as ever, and preferably trying to push for that D1 spot in Champions. Also, I think a small prize pool, if I'm not mistaken. Do not quote. Sub me in for... Trust, we gotta get the subs in. I mean, I've subbed in once for D2 as well. At this point, it feels like anyone can get into sub D2. You'll see the first body go down of the server. Foreign fine stunt. Well, apparently the man that everyone hates is also gonna be the one out first. Let's see if we can get a prediction going sooner than later, preferably, because I forgot to do one. Y'all are going to probably see this right after I do something about it. Also, 7 viewers, and I didn't even post anything. I did not post a gamecast. Hey, but someone should probably deal with Noob, right? You know, he is kind of sitting in the middle of it all, but he also is going to get naded. That's a death. Maybe playing a little bit too aggressive. Vipe, it does find his first. I mean, getting new raid's always a good start, but immediately you swing too hard, Jin's just gonna find you, Sanctuary finds another. Goes back to a 2v2 is you had the advantage and you squandered it away. Never what you want to see. Not at all. Let's see here. Can I get a prediction going? Oh yeah. Overall, I mean, I think there's still quite a bit of hope here for Armani, despite their odd start. I mean, once again, they're still a very, very strong team in terms of that straight gun skill, and they do have a lot of improvising that they can pull in the IGL, but I think it's more... If we see it, it'd be more surprising than not. I also do see another one go to Jin. So far, the Echo been relatively moving around. I think he feels very mobile on an operator that generally isn't so. Sanctuary's finishes and Sins with a much better round than I think we all expected. You know, only 45 seconds ago. Hey, a good claw back from the two men, and hey, you want it? That's how you want to start in these. Who's winning map 1? Sins, and then we have Armani. We'll do 5-minute prediction period. Go! There we go. This actually went up right around when I said it, and I also should probably put a Gamecast thing up because I entirely forgot to do something about that. For those of you that are tuning in, welcome. We will certainly see how this one ends. I have my doubts, but I wouldn't hate quite yet. I just realized I have been the only caster for playoffs, I think, besides Runner.
Attackers need
Which,
to locate and
well,
defuse as many bombs as they can.
that's certainly a casting. That's a caster. No hate to Runner, of course. We don't hate nobody around here. Let's see here. Overall, it should be a relatively normal setup. Sins doesn't generally have the craziest, deepest strat book in the entirety of the world. And you don't really need to in a lot of console comp. I think we've seen them pull off some very odd plays, most of them involving somewhat recent pro matches, but generally we see them stick kind of to their roots. Very basic play. Not a bad thing at all. I think that's a very safe decision, but it is certainly one that they make. There we go. Now we send up that one post for champions because I mostly forgot to. I'm not going to cap. Overall, though, it does look very, very good. Also, there will be a map break in between of about 4 minutes, so we can keep we can have an ad break in between and not one during the game because I think everyone hates ads mid-game. So if you join late and don't join during map break, I'm sorry, but it's either ads then or ads in the middle of a probably important round, so. Dude, show up at a normal time, man. Pay attention to champions. I'd be glad to have you. I'll probably have you map too. I've done so much solo casting. It's taken a toll on my voice, and I still have semis for SSL, Baller Invitational, and then like 4 other things, and maybe a European League or 2. My voice is gonna lose itself. We're only a little bit in the first week. I still got schools coming soon too. We're gonna be a busy, busy man. Overall, though, it looks to be a very, very basic start from Armani. Is start safe, start default. As you did go down accurately, you lost all your bodies and a pretty big advantage. Nothing wrong with playing a bit more safe after what was a bit of a body throw. Do you want me? There's no way we're talking about running and meat sucking. Dean, however, does find the first pick as I'm shit talking Runner. Perfect timing to drive away from one shit talk to shit talking another. I do actually say Dean is kind of overrated, but despite that, I think it's more because he can sometimes have a very high stature as one of the top players in terms of, like, we're putting him with, you know, the Popifies, the Vucks, the Blittas, with, you know, Vizix. It's not that Dean is bad at all. He's a great player, but I don't think he's ever going to be at that level. At least just because I think he has other things to do in life, and that's not a bad thing, but I think it's certainly something to point out. You do at least see the Deimos track go out onto Sin. This would be generally, I think, a position he would love to be in. He has a lot of the pressure coming towards him. He loves playing in these corners. He at least finds damage. Gonna find himself a down, too. As long as he doesn't get killed by Foreign, which sadly he does. Keeps your numbers not what you want to see as Foreign grabs 2. The big man on the round, apparently, is... You might be slow and you might be a little bit thick, but you do have an R4C in hand with an ACOG. That alone is a dangerous, dangerous combo. You also have what is assuming to be a plant from Xeno, but also probably not going to be a pretty one, as there's still a lot that can happen. Maybe not the C4s anymore, but there's still a shotgun in hand, and Newbray and Jin is not exactly a bad group of players to find it out. However, you do need to stop this pretty soon here. You don't want to let this pulse plant drain away. Verticality being held by Dean. This one looks all but over, as you might be able to find some damage. However, Vipe immediately make sure to get that down on the dock. Moving at a good pace and much better tie-up. I'm not going to actively find codecasters most of the time. I will for grand finals, in which case I'm pretty sure it's going to be squared. But we'll see. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to find a codecaster for SSL finals. We'll see. Maybe I'll just pull a Xeno or 4 and just do it myself. It's possible. But let's go to the numbers in between. As so far we do have a Vipe starting relatively strong here, which you do want to see. I would assume we're going to see Sins come out on top. I generally think they're the stronger team, at least looking at seeds. You do see the 3 seed against the 11 seed, as this looks only slightly different compared to Vanish. But I think that the strength in these teams, and only 3 seeds apart, is a much bigger thing. Armani just came off of a big win not even a couple of days ago. We see a lot of strength in a team like this, and we can see that aggression at times against a team like Monarchs. I think there's a lot that could change in between those first couple of days, in between this game and the last one in SSL playoffs, but that is a good start, and I think that momentum could very well carry into a game like this against a relatively similar level opponent compared Monarchs to Sins.
5 seconds remaining.
Having your name be Sigma Ohio, I'm going to have to assume is an alt account, or you are one wild build man. If so, you know what, good for you. I respect the ability to keep that name and not chuckle at yourself every time. Apparently lean spamming is still a thing in what is supposed to be the competitive league, but hey, lean spam all you want, I guess, when you're to the top practice server. No hate coming from me. Wish I also get hate from him. Sanctuaries, however, does seem to be the man sticking right his ass into the middle of the crossfires, because what's the fun in playing passive? Something we saw from Vux, and sadly he is not Vux. He's not the man on the SMD-12. However, he is one body down and not in a situation you want to be, giving Armani the numbers and a Blackbeard. Two very unfun ops, probably going to come together to be a very unfun solution. No one likes Aurora. Very annoying. Not so much good, but it can cause issues at times, especially when used correctly. Blackbeard, however, is the definition of a large pain in the ass. I respect all my Blackbeard mains. It is a genuinely hard thing to be good at, with how much pressure can come towards you, but it is aggravating when I have to go against you. Once again, you're going to see those picks are sometimes so easy to find, finding Jins, as even if you are not the greatest at the shield makes you great. C4 also comes out, gets candling a little bit low on the Blackbeard, but still enough space, I think, in that health bar where he's not going to be worried about impact or anything. Also none to be found. Concerns somewhat valid on the side. This start you want to see, and finally Stunter finds his first one, being a bit slow to start. Dean also finds another on the SMD-12. The more successful SMD-12 player after Sanctuaries kind of got his head chopped off for being too aggressive. Newberry finds at least one. Gets himself a pick that he desperately needs. This is not going to be a fun post plant. The more bodies that live, you need to try to find at least one more, because the 2v3 is not looking pretty in a post plant. Problem is, I don't know what the plan is from either side here, as there at least looks to be some form of normality in this post plant from Armani, but Sins don't really have everyone together. You have Newbray, who's kind of playing by himself, and you have Sin, who's trying to just grab everything he can, but he's one man against a blitz shield. You do at least see one. You do finally see Newbray come into the fray, but it might just be a bad positioning, as he doesn't even know where Dean is, and this one looks all but over, as you can't do much. Dean's going to be in the perfect position to find quite a few kills. Hey, it's what you want to see. Oh yeah, and score for a check. Dean so far has been nasty, as much as I like to hate him. I don't know why you're stream sniping. There's a 180-second delay, dude. You're just stream sniping nothing. Like, chalk it. You're gonna maybe see the drone phase, folks. Actually, I will type in chat. We did not get to go over the bans, but relatively basic all around. There we go. Hey, we actually got a relatively large amount of people watching on TikTok. Hey, it happens eventually. Sometimes we struggle a little bit slow. Nothing wrong with that. There are some growers in the world. God, that sounds wrong. Hey, some people rise to the occasion. Not always going to look the strongest. Look at half of wolves. Or some of you may know them King Von's disciples because that is apparently their new name going forward. Don't ask me why, but that is the plan. Overall, at least I expect a relatively competitive, I think, half here. I would not be surprised if we see Armani do go up a round or two. Sins is not a defensive-sided team, unlike a lot of teams, but I also think this means Armani has to try to find... I'm just going to pretend I didn't read chat right there, because... okay. But overall, I think that Sins is generally better on the attack on maps like Cafe, where it's a little bit more boxed in and allows for a roam clear that can be done. So as long as you see the Dokkaebi stay on board, I think this should be just fine. The Dokkaebi goes off. Well, you're going to have to pray for a Blackbeard Shield Blitz running down your throat, as you can only get rid of so many annoying ops. That is, in fact, how Armani works. They also plan to get the windows done, as that is the next move, and Sanctuary's plans to absolutely swing it as if it's the WWE, because why not just face swing, you know, a window where there's two different angles to hold. Such a good idea. Innovation, I suppose. Or stupidity, I'm not entirely sure yet. And Dean gets a free one on the stunter. I said that so wrong. Whatever. I'm gonna say stunt. They're paying you little boo-boos? Nah, right. You're getting paid in the shitty keychains. Chalk it. Vipe at least does find another, and this advantage is slowly tilting one way, hoping for it to be tilted back to our Sins, but I don't know what options you're really going to have given towards you, as the most you're going to find is maybe one off the deployable shield, but it doesn't look great. You at least find something if you're new, but I don't think the man that was expected to, and also outside, so not really the prettiest way to get back in. Your site is now left pretty undefended, and Gandling might walk his ass up, but as you can deal with him, it still might be very doable. You see Jin grabbing a lot of damage, but not what you need. Instead, Sin's going to grab it. You see the swing in. A whiff from both sides, is even so, Jin finishes despite the Grims being in his face. Xeno, the last one alive, downstairs in the main corridor. Not really what you want to see. You had the numbers, you had the plants, and then you gave it all up. Armani, so far, looked so strong, and then throwing rounds that could have been slam dunks. Not a pretty look. You still have Xeno alive, and he has certainly shown that clutch factor at times, but a 1v3 might be a little bit too strong for his taste, as these positions do not look easy to clear by any means. But never count out hope. Jin's going to make sure that's squandered, though, as you can maybe hope as a fan of Armani, but Sins look to at least be clawing back to a 2-2. Once again, a 3-3 half is probably benefiting Armani despite the odd sides. Mostly just because Sins is an attacker team. So if they can get that 3-3 half now, that's what you want to see. Oh yeah, what was the prediction? I genuinely forgot to check. But let's see them predictions, folks. I also have no idea what the Twitch numbers are, because I don't really want to pull up Twitch unless it's a map break to pull up ads. Because someone's going to complain about ads if I don't do it during a map break. But I want to see the numbers for the prediction. I've heard very, very conflicting opinions about both teams. Some glaze on one side, some not so much on the other. What does the people think? What is with you and Cold Popeyes? Dude, you're just complaining at this point. A hater. Well, Sins are the only votes, so I suppose there's certainly one advantage, or one social opinion, one way or the other. Like, apparently my Popeyes is always going to rock Cold if this man has it his way. I'm going to be cursed with Cold. Is there a hole? There's a hole in my sock. Life is not happy. Life is not joyous. This is a homo sock. Shocking. This is what happens when you run like 10 miles in a pair of socks. When you do that too often, it just kind of breaks them down. Adidas socks are not fact for the athletics, because apparently they break after not even a half marathon. Trail running is amazing, but not really great for your socks or most normal shoes. Hey, at least a normal plan from Dean, because once again, I'm pretty sure he loves windows more than he loves women, but hey, if you're going to have league wins, maybe you can beat Tom Brady. Who needs women when you can just have a shit ton of rings? low-key, a W thought is, I'm pretty sure that Stretch is planned for life. Just get like 12 league wins, and then he doesn't have to worry about women. He can just flex his rings. Jerseys? I don't really know what you'd flex here. A thought. 1 in 17 is crazy. I have him going... Where's my notes? I have him going at like a 0.8. So, however it plays out. 9 and 12. I could see 8 and 12, something in those lines. Sanctuary's plans to swap back and forth to be the most annoying pest on the planet. To be fair, it does work very, very well. Also going to lose your mind doing it. You're also going to see relatively aggression, which also means you're not going to be able to swap back for a sneaky plan. Instead, you're going to be stuck to one body, not a lot of utility, and unless 2 impacts are really all you care about. Oh, 111 is crazy. I like hate as much as the next high, but that's kind of wild. He might not know it, but he was so close to a kill. Instead, let's see, go the other way, is you are seeing shots in that direction, but all depends on a jump out here. Is if you jump out, you'd be falling right into the trap. Not today, though, as apparently the aggression of Sins is being contained. Whether by their own opinion or others, does not matter tonight. All that matters is you keep your numbers, and to be fair, what has been a very successful clear upstairs, with Jin's being the only man to deal with. He's also a very strong man to deal with, so count your days. Or in this case, maybe worry about your life, because Candling's right behind you, and he's going to find one Vipe with another, and suddenly the numbers are never in your direction, and we're shooting bodies in a comp match. Of course. When in doubt, constantly toxic as shit. I probably shouldn't be swearing. I like my ad revenue existing. Whatever. Chirpcaster is actually crazy. I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that. Releasing IQ, more accurately, Xeno gets some damage on the Sin, making sure those bodies stay low. No one is happy with their health, and Sins are down numbers, and morale is being down 2 players isn't really the situation you'd be able to hope for. And then you get dropped on. Not looking too great overall, but Newberry might be able to pull something out of his ass. He has a C4 in hand, maybe a little bit of hope in there. This doesn't look great, as Sin's also going to have to find something, and I don't really think it's a likely situation as you're being sprayed upon. You don't have a great way to win it, because now it's 5v1, and you die to a nade. Armani with a flawless round. Yes, I have notes for most of the people. So that is, it's just habit at this point. This is also a paid game, so yes, I have notes. Of course. I have notes. This one's shorter. I only have like a page or 2, but like some BO5s, I'll have like 4.5 pages, 5 pages of notes. Stats, storylines, players, previous interactions, other games happening, possible co-casters and guests during games. It ranges. Look at SSL Grand Finals. I'll probably have a 15-page document of what's going to happen. Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have like 4.5. I'm going to have like 4 guests. 2 co-casters, maybe 1. I don't know. We're gonna have a lot of people though. A lot of hands on board. I'm still trying to get Vizex to realize that I exist, to maybe even agree, but I think he's so into Siege and a little bit nonchalant about it. I don't think that's happening. Maybe Andy's term or Dexy. They're pretty cool. The Obey brothers do tend to respond. Sometimes. Some of them don't even exist outside of Roller Rivals, to be honest. I don't think their accounts exist inside of Roller Rivals either, but they're still relatively chill from the VCs I've been in with them. Just maybe not so commonly seen online. Shit, I wouldn't be there if I pulled what they do. I'm not adding a death counter to one dude. I like hating as much as the next person. Possibly what Zilrees is, but I think it's... I think the chat is rambling more than I am, which is a bit of an astonishment, but yeah, we like a little bit of fun times in here. Sin's hoping to find the even half, which to be fair would be not preferable on this side, but you live and learn. I mean, you'd hope to find a little bit more than an even half, but if you do find the 3-3, you're not exactly going to be upset at yourself. You're just going to be hoping for a little bit more. We also got to see a much more aggressive hold upstairs. They kind of gave it up for a little bit of a free body. Not too much given and not too much taken either. It just felt like a beat down upstairs. And Armani was the one with the belt. I think this time we hope to see Jin and the others. Hopefully, maybe. I have notes on like half the players. I'd have to check. Half the good comp players. Thorn finds the first, and if I'm not mistaken, that was a one-tap, because apparently we're like that. Also maybe a little bit concerning, but you do find the first pick. That is definitely what you want to see. Sin also getting quite a bit of damage sent to him. Make that 2 picks, and suddenly the advantage is all but yours, and verticality is also taken relatively fast. You do have Sanctuaries making his move, possibly to find something more. Be the man to do it, but you also have to seriously try to find 1 or 2 picks here. As you find the first, gives you the numbers you need, but running down here would be a little bit ill-advised, as crazy pre-fire might find you something, but you're going to put yourself in a situation you don't really want to see, as everything is coming towards you. You at least find another, try to tie those numbers up, make it a 2v3. It's so possible you find another, as apparently Sanctuary's plans to be the beating heart to make sure they get that even half, and Dean left in a 1v3. Not what you want to see. Pause. Just you. Well, hey, maybe if he goes neutral, I'll rethink that. I'll rethink how you that statement is. If he drops 20, then maybe the stunt point is valid. Until then, hell nah. But if you can find yourself a 3-3 half, maybe as well, because apparently Dean, if he does do this, is trying to put up his Hall of Fame campaign. Maybe not in SSL, as obviously this doesn't matter, but maybe Champions. Well, may be able to find something here as he gets damage and just whiffs on a stunter. Could have had it all. Could have had at least a number. A little bit easier of a fight, but yeah, 45 seconds left, and everything is kind of just slowing down to a halt, as you haven't done much, but they're glad to watch this clock wind down on you. That also means that you're not going to have a lot to work with come that time where, execute or not, your time is going to wind down and you're going to be forced to do something because, well, time's a bitch. In this case, it also might be your end, is you're fighting with Stunter. Finally, the gunfight that you might be able to win, but instead, excuse me, I was about to pre-fire, he's going to suck, but he gets his kill, he gets the final one, and a 3-3 half, mostly off the back of Maestro and Sanctuaries. Good for him. Much better for Sins, as a 4-2 would have looked pretty unpretty. Now you go to your better half, statistically. 89% GPU, good lord. What am I running even? What am I running even? Like, genuinely, what am I running? This is on minimum settings, and my encoding is actually easy. I don't know. 3070 Ti is not the play. But I do have sexy internet, so take your wins, I guess. Good lord. And GPU is being pushed to the max tonight. You do see the first bands of Ace and Mira. Relatively bland. I think more your potato and, I don't know, vegetables, your generic food. Your Aldi brand bands. I'm saving that, actually, the Aldi brand bands. To be fair, they're both some of the most common bands, and Azami is right up there. Ram is a bit more map specific, but she's still very commonly banned on Clubhouse and this. Cafe is one of her best maps, to be fair. You can also see her banned quite a bit on Chalet, but we do not see Chalet as much as you think. It's a little bit surprising. I haven't casted Chalet in 2 weeks, a week. I haven't casted it since YN Grand Finals. Wild Boys YN against Voltage, I think. Actually a hell of a game, to be fair, and one of my favorites ever. I had a podcast episode about it, releasing sometime eventually. But I am very excited, I think, if we do ever get to see Chalet again, as it seems to be in a bit of a drought competitively. A lot of teams are either very bored of it and don't want to play it, or just ban it all together, because a lot of teams are not that good on it. Except 907, they're actually very, very good at it, they just never play it. The glaze for stunt when he's 3 and 5 is crazy tonight. It's not like it's like, I don't know, Vizex, Andy's term, Adexi, the kids that are going like 2.4 KD in playoffs. Stunt has like a 0.7. Stunt emo traps. Bam. Apparently I'm missing something. This is what happens. I don't keep up with console comp. No, I keep up with console comp, not console players. There's a difference. I know comp and stats like the back of my hand, specifically SSL. Past that, you're going to be tough to find what I know too well. And a little bit of roller rivals. Mostly because Buddha did it that one time in Sundays, and I think it was interesting. Huh. I did not know you could do that. Come on. This is your piece of everything to chew on. Castro, purple. Like a purple, dark purple. This is your. I want an opinion here for channel points. Should I make it so it's like 20,000? You get to co-cast if you want, or change one random thing on the overlay, or add something. Low-key might do that because that sounds kind of entertaining. I think I might do that. Steel. What the fuck is that even mean? Sanctuaries is on the Bravo, which is actually one of his better ops statistically, but he plays that, I think, a total of 4 times ever. So he might be good on it, but I'm pretty sure he hates the par 308 more than I hate my parents. One parent, at least. Respect to the dads in the world. Surprisingly slow round once again, as these teams just feel like it's fine to grind it down. And the problem is Sins really don't want to grind it down, as they're best when they're running it down their face. That's so... ugh. But you're still getting what you need done, and your Black Grid apparently is your main force of fighting. Not really a bad thing, as Green Cypher, I'm pretty sure he is the main force of fighting for most teams. It doesn't matter when Dean with the DMR finds 2. New Brian, Jins, you lose the gridlocks, which is not too bad, and the Black Grid, which really sucks. And your down numbers. Not what you want to see is... To be fair, I don't know what you have left, really, at this point. You still have a detail, you still have some work, and you still have at least a Jackal, but... I don't know. Why are we spelling Castor with an OR? Isn't that like French spelling? I don't know, something other than English. Another entirely different spelling. Sin at least does get the wall with what I'm assuming is a Hibana trick, which better sooner rather than later, but 30 seconds left, you think you'd hope for a little bit sooner. So now you're gonna have to worry about time a hell of a lot more, as the numbers could very well grind down on you, and that clock could be the end of your enemy. In this case, a very big win for Armani, as the swing goes up and Foreign perfectly knows what's coming, and with 15 seconds left, this one looks all but over. As I don't know what the plan is, because it doesn't seem like there is one. Foreign's going to farm them kills early or later on, but this one is all but over. As you might be able to find it down, but you're not getting a post plan off in this situation. Take your kill and realize you got to lock in for the attack. Armani win the first. Okay. It's Castor with an ER, I'm going to tweak, and worst play in the series. Statistically, it'd probably be Stunt, to be fair. As much glaze as there is for him. Stunt, everyone on Armani is relatively normally fine on stats. Jins is fine. Yeah, I think it's Stunt. Batter... Sin. Sin. He's probably up there. I haven't calculated Madden-wise Sin's stats in a bit, but they're probably the closest to the worst. Armani is kind of generally okay all over the place. I don't have one absolutely bad player. Candling is inconsistent, but he's not bad. Foreign is always good, and Dean is kind of... His ceiling is high, and then his floor is just average. So you're either going to get like a 0.9 or 1.0 or like a 1.3. Oh, that makes sense. That's it. I did not know that was a name, honestly. Cat store. I'm gonna say I said that so wrong. I live and learn. Armani looks to have
5 seconds to insertion.
the same setup as not even 4 games ago.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Positions are same. Once again, this is, I think, an issue that is more on console, but there's about as little change in a setup. Even, like, season to season. Oh. Poor kid is crazy. Acting like I'm, like, I'm a hobo over here. Chalk it, but overall, I mean... Certainly not a name. I think it's a bigger question. Apparently Jin says, well, I might suck on the Blackbeard in terms of living, but I'm gonna find the bodies that I can find when I'm alive. You do get the first pick, which is a big help. Maybe even a little bit more aggression, as Foreign is apparently planning to rat his way to a kill. Hey, you win some, you lose some. In this point, he might try to win one with more of a ratty strat, but you never know. Maybe you find something. Nope. Jin either had the force, or in this case, a much better thinking is he could win it, but the problem is time might wind down him, and the barbed wire is actually going to hit him. As he kind of just put himself in a situation he couldn't get out of. Instead of that, see Sin go down as well, and suddenly your bodies are not looking your direction. You do at least find one of your sanctuaries, to get your numbers back up, your diffuser back in your hand, and the round back on track. Stunt now in a position where he could actually cause quite a bit of chaos within one man. As I say that, he gets immediately taken down by Vipe. Foreign finds another, and this one looks all but over as apparently Armani are locked in on this defense. All right. If you got stats, I'd be astonished. You do at least see shots coming out from four, and eventually everyone's going to swing at some point. It's really just going to be down to who gets the better one, and you at least find damage onto one, get a body, but foreign's going to be on the other side of the door, and you won't be ready. Armani, 5-3. Ever so close, earing towards match point, which, to be fair, this wouldn't be the worst one. This wasn't your map pick of Sin, so it's not the worst thing to lose, but you also hope to put up a bigger fight. Going into, to be fair, what is a odd map in my opinion? We don't generally see Night Haven map 2. Huh. The number is not looking in the favor of Armani as... Actually, I don't have all my numbers because apparently my stat sheet is screwed up. While we do have at least most, entries are leaning one very strong way, which is Armani. Normally not the thing you see them dominating in, but you win some, you lose some. Trades are also doing great as overall it's fine, but you also have one player who is the outlier, Jin. I'm not saying his full thing, I don't know, I just call him Jin. That's how it is. But he is +7 on the trades, much better than most of his teams. And at least the best in the server, which is still a great, great bar to have, and the performance you do need, but you need something more from your other sides, because you have a lot of players negative here, and you're at a very close to a do or die where you really do want to win this map, or at least bring it to OT, as it says infinite overtime, and you could delay your opponent. You could, you know, get them less ready, get them just generally mentally screwed up, then you get to head into your map pick. Overtime, even if you don't win, would be a huge win, I think, for Sens. Even if they lose after a couple of rounds in infinite overtime. What the okay. If you just get there, it's such a big thing to have, and I think we'll see that overall, at least. That, and we'll see how long Foreign can contain whatever his plan is. And apparently, once again, Jin's... do you need the Blackbeard at this point? It feels like you're just going to set on Windows and find your freebies anywhere, and except you throw on the Blackbeard. Get this man in R4C, and then we have a problem solved. At least that feels like it's the issue. Maybe I'm wrong. Now I want a pizza. It is? Did I set up my overlay wrong, or am I tweaking? Is it on my side? It doesn't matter when Dean finds a bit of a trade back, as you do lose Sin. Probably one of the worst picks to lose, as that verticality is going to come to be so important later on. Not the pick you want to lose, but it's at least something. Huh. Good to know. Sorry about that. Had to figure out some issues. Thank you for those maps, though. I did not remember, honestly. I kind of hope for an NHL map 2. I really enjoy Night Haven as a guarantee. It's one of my favorite maps to cast, as it feels very strategy-based, and it is a bit of personal favorite, but I'll still take what you can get, and in this case, it's not a bad thing. Sins also do have quite the bit of numbers advantage to work with here. All you got to do is not play your bodies, and you could very well have a very good post plan, a very easy one. With no C4 stopping you, all you have is two impacts from Candle. Candle? Whatever, it's screwed. He's going to be called Candle. I'll say Canned, how about that? In between so he doesn't complain. Not too much, at least. Valkyrie finds some damage on Dean. Or Dean more accurately finds the damage. You do at least get the down onto Jin. Bodies maybe going your direction, as Dean apparently is going to be the man to pull it back. Make that all your numbers, and what could have been so perfect turned pretty sour as you threw numbers in a situation where you really couldn't afford to. Overall, I mean, I think Dean could certainly find himself in a situation where he could probably drop 20 today. Obviously, we'd have to see a round win in between here, but this one looks all but over. As the numbers look so far in one direction, and yet we're going to see. It won't matter today. It is. No matter the numbers, Armani pulls it back. I'm almost positive club is... I'm checking now because I'm pretty sure I'm confused. Let's see here so I can figure out what's the issue. D2 game time. Yeah, it's club map 2. Is this? Oh, is this wrong? Talk about those bans. Blackbird was banned, which is at least a very, I think, a good ban here. As we've seen the consistency from it so far. No big reason not to. Oh, wait, no, it is right. What? Yeah, club map 2, Night Haven Labs map 3. What? I'm getting gaslit by my chat. Shocking. Match point for Armani is you'd hope to find it here on the first floor. Certainly, I think a viable option. I think it's all going to come down to one man because apparently that seems to be the driving force is Dean or Foreign. Which is the big issue right now is I think that it's so good to have those players popping off, but the fact you don't see any other value really from a lot of the others, that's what you're going to run into. You need to see more from Xeno and Candlin and Blackbird, excuse me. As it is great you have that strong 2 or 3 to work with, but if those start failing, what do you fall back on? Yeah, it's club map 2. Club is map 2. Night Haven Labs is map 3. I don't know what in the world is being spout. Yeah, cafe. Club map 2. Yeah, okay, so I'm right. What club is... Yeah, club is the one showing. On an overlay? Yeah, it's clubhouse. I don't know why I'm getting double racked. We're chilling. Well, you at least know the plan here. You do see the shield. You do see what is surprisingly no Aurora, but I think we know what the plan is you see all the bodies searching towards one area. Soon as everyone's coming in at the same time. So it just doesn't matter of who gets the kill where. Xeno finds his, holding the crosses. Once again, you didn't get the window, and it's going to come back to bite you. You're going to lose it in the body. You really didn't want to lose. Your big X factor here is gone, and now you're going to have to make a move. That you may not. You can still certainly win something here, as you do have the flashes to work with. And I think at least the value from players, but you got to get rid of Vipe here. You got to get rid of these players that are just going to play close. Xeno is another one where you cannot afford to let them just sit here and buy you time because you're on Armani. You need to deal with them if you are from Sims. You cannot let these kind of players sit. Jin at least finds one, but still have one sitting in another corner, and they might know it, but what matters is the big question. Jin finds 2, as apparently he's going to be the beating heart once again. Who needs a teammate when he's locked in? Making everyone very, very low, but you find at least Candling in the last couple of seconds, but Dean swinging, and he might not know. Could find you a pick. I can see the feet and get some damage, but Dean and 4 and alive in a 2v3 is not the worst thing to work with as you do have the numbers, and now they go back to even. Now what you want to see is now you're low, and with about even game, even health, you're going to have to work off of almost nothing in your favor. The stats are not what they need to be. See one find from Dean, Foreign with another, and Armani wins 7-3. After this quick little scoreboard showing for the screenshots and what has been the constant glitch right now, we do at least know what the plan is. Once this goes out, that goes up, we're going to go to a 4-minute break.
This is Sprays, and this is the Counting Cards Podcast Week 1. Today we have with us Brian from Wild Boys.
Hello.
Leader. Let's start simple, though. Who are you?
My name's Brian. I am the CEO/chairman of the Wild Boys organization /LLC.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Let's look to the past.
Okay.
So, how did you start the org? How did it come to be?
How did I start the org? Well, funny enough, one day I was sitting there with a group of friends at this place called Twin Peaks, and one of my friends mentioned Jinxie, and I was like, Jinxie, who the fuck is that? So they pulled up his Twitch, and we were watching him, and he said something about like a $50,000 like game. I was like, what? There's no way. So me going into Discord and going around, I went through the main R6 server on Discord, and then I got recruited by forgot what org it was, but some small org where me, Knight, and Toxic, or when we get farther into the podcast, they'll become relevant, recruited me from to go play with them. Well, we joined this org together, and we were sitting there, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Learning on how leagues work, on who runs things. I was like, "I want to do this." So one day, I was like, "Yo, Knight, Toxic, if I make an organization, will you guys join?" And they were like, "Hell yeah!" And now that's the beginning of Wild Boys right there.
How many teams do you have in the beginning?
Okay, so in the very beginning of Wild Boys, I didn't understand on how necessarily comp worked. I thought as if I get 5 players, I have a team. I didn't understand that you had to have the best of the best, or they all had to be champ. So me, Knight, and Toxic decided to make 23 teams in Wild Boys when we first started. And half the team were coppers, half were like silvers, a couple plats. I think we had 1 diamond for 23 teams. And then, yeah, and then through then, we became more knowledgeable in the comp scene. And now, today, I'm pretty sure we have 12 teams.
So to also
Yeah.
go off of that, is there like one player or a specific player or specific team that helped you gain popularity?
Yes. So, are you guys familiar with the guy named Cosmic?
A little.
Yes.
Okay. So, Cosmic, one day, I was sitting there on Wild Boys posting looking for org/players. I was going, hey, join Wild Boys. We're this and that. Well, Cosmic reached out, and his team at the time was called Code Black, and they were, in my opinion, probably one of the best teams in comp at the time. And Cosmic was like, hey, I have a really good team looking for an org. I'm willing to help get you started and etc. So I was like, shit, help me out. Well, Cosmic, me, Knight, and Toxic all got in a VC, and we talked, and next thing later, Code Black joined Wild Boys, and from there, we took off like a rocket ship. I think we went from 50 people in our Discord server to 500 in a matter of 2 months. So when I say we skyrocketed, it was very fast.
All
That's
right.
crazy.
And so you kind of contribute your success a little bit to picking up Code Black and all that, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
All
Without
right.
Cosmic, we would have had a very rough start. Absolutely, 100%.
All right. And
Okay.
kind of going back to your players a little bit, who was your like favorite when your org was still developing? If you had to pick, if you had to.
Ooh, see, I can't answer that because
Can't answer.
you got to
I
realize
understand. I understand. Yeah.
from an org owner, if I pick one person, the other person will be like, "Oh, I thought you liked me," and it's just gonna start little fights, and we'll stay away from that conversation.
We'll stay away from the drama on
Um,
the podcast. It's only episode 1.
yep,
We'll stay away.
exactly, exactly, yep. So, but I did have a couple favorite teams. Obviously, Code Black, and believe it or not, 619 was our very first team to ever win us a trophy for our organization. They won D2 Scissor League, and they got a little trophy for it, and that was our believe it or not, that was our very first team. And ever since then, 619 was with us for a little bit. They left due to certain issues, and they came back. So 619.
About that, now we are on audio, so don't say anything too racist. Pause. No game chat, really? I feel hurt. Well, no game chat. As much as I don't want to do it, we do have issues from restarting. We're gonna go to a tech pause for just a little bit. And we are back with a map 2 of Clubhouse. Armani certainly put up the heat early on, getting themselves a 7-3, and would hope to finish out 2-0, but now you're going on to Sin's map choice, and this is where it's going to get iffy, I think, very, very fast. But don't cut on any team yet. Oh, pick Cafe. If you decide to pick Cafe in semifinals of SSL, chalk it. Chalk it respectfully. For my homies, just don't even play Cafe. Clubhouse, that's sexy. Nighthaven, Chalet, good maps. But you get your first bans of the Cade and the what is relatively normal Habana. You do want to keep those hatches both either closed or open depending on the side, and you're going to see them very targeted in that first ban. Second one's a little bit more normally see the Cade and the Azami. Once again, your Aldi brand ban says it's what you expect at this point. There's no real craziness when it does happen, but you know what I mean? You get what you get. You don't get the CC, but you do at least keep the castle, so your gym bedroom is very strong here. Does allow you to make some moves. I would personally go for the Azami castle ban, but that is from a T3 coach perspective, not from a, team perspective. Because I am not console. Believe it or not. At least in terms of playing nowadays. I think I use my console for too much. Oh, there we go. Overall, I think the setup should be relatively default from ever since from last time. They run a normal cache extension. I don't remember if they put a mute on the CC wall though. They might. I don't remember. I don't remember their numberings for everything. I am very, very good with numbers and teams, but I cannot remember the exact setup every time. So the bigger question is, do they put a mute here? Answer is no, not today. Do you see the castle go over here? That is a bit of astonishing. That is, if I'm not mistaken, a big change where they generally don't have it there. But I always like a little bit of difference in my games. I always like something a little bit more fun. I like it. I like the uniqueness from them. At least you got it done when you need to, and hopefully Armani can deal with the setup, as we've at least seen them deal with a very similar setup. So, would not be a big surprise. But you do always got to worry, and you also see Kex on the suppressor for the R4C. I'm going to be honest, a little bit odd, but he finds the first pick, so maybe he just likes the sound, but Jin goes down first, as you do lose your Warden, and arguably the most important player in this position to hold down the fort. I'm going to hold him for positional value, as he can stop a lot of things, like the flashes, the smokes, all coming towards him. Plus, it just hurts to lose a player early on. When does it not? Well, I mean, I think that it's at least a good start here. If you are Armani, you got the numbers you need. Now you need to get Sanctuaries, which you do by Xeno. Looking almost perfect so far, as Sins don't have a great response to the aggression being shown from Armani, and that is the large issue, is response. We're not seeing that much being done actively against it. This push, and that is what it's going to come down to, I think. Stunter averages like a 0.8, I think. I don't remember, honestly. It's been a while. I don't calculate everyone's stats, so I don't have to. Okay, let's go through this so I can say at everyone map 2. To be fair, it has been, what I'd argue, is a very competitive series, even if we do see the score look a little bit brash early on. I think we've seen at least the value. I'm glad. I think it's nice to see some difference in these games. Some at least interesting things happening. Sin being pushed out by a nade later with the down, and so far Armani looking very strong on their defenses. There's not much you can do here now for Nubre, where you might be able to find 1 or 2 kills, but it doesn't look all likely that you can win, as our Kex finishes with his suppressor R4C. Strong start. And the start you do want to have here, I think, if you are the side of Armani, you want to come out strong, you want to come out swinging, and you want to get these rounds and hopefully a 4-2 half, finish it out early. You do not want to let this go on and give Sins time to adjust. You need to show up strong, and you need to try to stop any real hope. Like, if you see 2 rounds back-to-back from Sins, that's an issue. But if you can let, 4-2 half, and we see those 2 rounds split apart, you're isolated, you don't have a lot of momentum going your way. Either you see a timeout from Sins to change that, or we don't, and it's going to be relatively hard to deal with. What are your thoughts on Hunter so far? He is probably the worst player in the match statistically. Not statistically, but just overall, I don't think he's providing that much value.
Bombs as they can.
He's playing the opposite as technically needed, but I don't think he's at the level that we need him to be right now. Sins need a much better player in a situation like this, but we're not seeing that from him. It's going to come back to bite them in the ass, but I think he is the big deciding factor, believe it or not. I think if we had a better flex player in here, it would matter so much more. Instead, he's being a non-factor in a game that you need him to be that X factor, I think. Which does hurt. It does actually hurt quite a bit. But you still have time for things to change. You still have time for Sunter to come back into his own. Don't count anyone quite out. Don't count anyone out quite yet, as we still have at least a little bit to work with here. It's not like we're ending the game quite yet. Still got time. And at least a good chunk of regulation to play. Damn, 6 viewers. Chalk it. Oh, well, I'm kidding. I don't really care about viewers, honestly. I enjoy casting champions because I like the teams, but I'm not worried about pay or like views. It's for the enjoyment. SSL, on the other hand, yes, that is actually for the competitive love of the game. I suppose it's probably the same for champions D1. It's just, I don't know. I got my start in SSL, and it feels different, I guess is the best word for it. Jin at least seems to find the damage, but not a lot so far yet. He's going to be the man for the main stairs. The one to probably hold most of it is all the pressure is going to be towards just him and him alone. Could go his way, could also end pretty disastrously. All how the cards roll. You only see C4. That's a bit of a whiff, and maybe he gets a kill below, but it's not exactly what you're looking for here. As we see, all the players fall back, and there's no real roam here, which I think is the biggest issue. There's not anything to stop them and slow them down. With a setup like this, it can work where you're letting everything be a bunker, but it's a little bit risky here, and you do at least have Sanctuaries moving his way up central. Having one man do it all is maybe not to play, but you at least find one kill. Maybe see if you can find 2 here, as you have quite a bit of pressure coming towards you in different directions. Dean is the one that finds the kill. I'll see a drop from one man as Foreign forced himself into a bit of a hard position against the Mira, but there's no one playing it, and he might not know it yet, but he's at free sailing right now as long as we don't see a big play from Jin. I also probably need to get a face cam too. I'm just thinking out loud. I gotta get something. I don't think I have a face cam yet. I don't think I have a webcam. Foreign at least finds a number, gets himself on the board. Round 2, which never a bad start. Sometimes you gotta start slow to win big. And the smokes will at least help you alleviate some of the pressure from that mirror, but it's not really gonna get rid of any of it in total. Still have Stunter in a good positioning. I think if he pushes up and aggresses, he could find something. Instead, Foreign's holding probably one of the most aggressive angles today, where he's just holding it, waiting for the smokes to happen. Good pre-fire from him, and Nubray left in a pretty hard position here, as he might be able to find 2, but time is going to be the big factor here, as they can just kind of let the clock wind down, where you see Nubray working on that time factor. He's working with limited time, not a lot he can do here, and he's got a swing, but Xeno's going to find it. Great start from Armani 2-0. I suppose we should probably award the points out. Twitch. Low-key, I'm hating. I'll drop like 10 viewers, and I'm low-key like, damn, but like, at the end of the day, I think I'm just so pretentious about it. I used to have, now in SSL and even like sometimes Champions, I'll drop 25, 33 viewers on average. But sometimes the more low-key streams and the more fun ones, because you get to lash out a little bit more, have some more fun with it. So why not? Plus, I do genuinely enjoy a team like Armani. I like how they play, and despite how odd they can be at times with some of their plays, they are very expansive in their strats. A lot of improvising that is done, and I do enjoy that. It brings a bit of a different play factor every time. Not always going to be an entertaining one or a good one, but it does bring that factor of possible uniqueness. A lot of times teams don't really have that. Good vigil at least being done where you don't really know where he is quite yet, and as I say that, you at least see the lesion, so you know exactly what's going in one way or another. Also means that you're going to see Stunt, despite being relatively slow to start, be the man. It's going to have to be the big X factor here and decide kind of the fate of the round. Is he's going to be the big roamer. You could certainly see something from Nubray here, but I think that we're going to see Stunt is in a much better position overall. He is the super shorty he can make holes with. He has a lot more versatility in how he can play it. it could be a very big go home, go home or win out here. He has all of the opportunity, I think all of the advantage that he'd want to have to get 3 kills here, to do something big. Kex does find the first on a Jin, which is arguably, I think, the more unexpected pick, but you find your numbers how you do, and you take what you can get. Where even was this pick from? Not much sure. I guess the dead body's gonna lie unknown. You'll see a good start here from Dean. It's from the side of Armani where they're getting the roam cleared down. They got the first pick that they already needed, but you really do want to find here, if you can, find stunt. You want to get that roamer out of the way. You want to try to just focus all of your attack. Right, he's going to fall off for himself and make it a little bit easier to clear. Give you a little bit more time to work with. Now you do have what is, to be entirely fair, a very long and expansive roam. I think that we could see from Sins where they do have a double roam. Could lead to at least, I think, a couple of big picks, but it's still very, very viable here for Armani. There's still a lot of time on the board. There's still drones you can use. It's not like you're dealing with this with a minute left. You have time to spare. You have a little bit more on the clock that I think that was expected. That's what you do want to see, but you have one player being the main thing, is you're just going to run across. You're going to put yourself in a bad situation, but you do at least find one, but probably going to be traded out from behind. You put yourself in a situation that's almost impossible to win with, and we're going to see New Red go down where maybe you make a play upstairs, try to find something if you are stunned, but I think there's going to be a bit of a fall off here where you're just going to keep your body, keep you alive. And the Madman might switch here, actually. I don't know if I'd call it a good play, but might be a crazy one. All at the time is, I think that eventually we're going to see the switch sooner or later. We're going to see a swap nonetheless, but it really just depends on how aggressively we see this be played. If we see Kex come in here, it might not really matter because he's not going to shoot it. Oh, excuse me, he's going to go the roundabout way, make sure he gets it. Hey, better late than never, I suppose. You at least have good bodies here. If you are a Xeno, you do have the numbers you'd want to see from a player like Xeno. I think there's a lot of expectations for him at times. He has a very high ceiling, is what I'd say. But we've seen his floor before. We saw it last game. He can have matches where he doesn't really pop off, but now we're seeing him pop off. We're seeing still good production from Dean and from Foreign. It's what you want to see. You're going to see Kex provide a little more value on the Asher, going in the aggression, taken out by Sin. Once again, never can feel too safe, as the time is really going to be the all-deciding factor. You might be able to get the pre-fire to find one. Sanctuary's in a big position to 1v1. It might not matter. Finish out by the Castles. It's all about being in the right place at the right time, and so far it's been done relatively well by one man. You see Sins get on the board in a much needed round, I think, to stop momentum, and now going into your final ban of the half, you get time to rethink, time to take that a little bit of momentum and hopefully carry it on to a much better half. It's not going to be easy though, and you're going to have to see a lot of growth. You never know. Plus, I'm gonna be honest, I'm low-key putting up a face cam because then I can keep my mic in convenient positions instead of positioning it in weird ways. I like it. It's like right below me, and I can like talk perfectly instead of having it like off in the corner. It's nice, convenient. But so we see, stats-wise, it has actually been relatively pretty well leaning towards the side of Sins, despite their not so pretty start. Entries 2-0 despite, as I just said, Kex is the biggest entry player. 2-0 is pretty insane. And he's 3-3. I don't want to forget and spectate the one man who's kind of LeBuns. Hear me out. I mean, overall, I think there's still a lot that could go the right way if you are Sins, but you would like to see a little bit more early on. As the numbers aren't going your way, the trades aren't looking crazy. Obviously, you have someone like Xena right now who's being the main driving force of the trades right now. Getting those refrags, being consistent with them, but you just want more, I think, is the best way to put it. From the side of Sins, you'd expect more from these players. You'd expect more from Sanctuaries. You'd expect more from Stunt, who I think could have the potential to go big, but we just haven't seen it. That's the big issue. Is Potential doesn't mean anything at all when you can't do something with it. Maybe at least see what should be a fight between Nubre and would have been Foreign, but instead of back off and I think a little bit more safety. I think he'd rather just not swing, keep his numbers, and be safe, but he's still going to take pot shots at each other. Instead, Nubre is going to get the good swing here. Find the pick, and what could be a bit unreturned is Kex makes sure it stays close. Getting a good number here. You do lose your castle, but it does hurt. It's already placed down, so it's not as bad as losing your Clash, you know, your Valkyrie, something that's more important. Sanctuaries does find at least one. Could be two here. Give me a bit of a risky C4 where I don't think he's going to find it. Excuse me, Xeno. It's his first death so far, and suddenly you're making relatively good progress. Overall, I mean, I think the push is all going to be relying on Sanctuaries and Jhin here, who's both in great positions, but it's going to come down to who's really going to find that aggression come towards them fastest. I think Kex is kind of going to be all walking around as they're going to go on the aggress here. They're going to try to find something. But you still at least find something. A kill is always a start, but still going to need to find a couple more if you really want to get this one within winning. And time is once again going to be the factor that decides all. Is you could get all the picks you want, but if you're left in a 2v1, but there's 3 seconds left and you're halfway away from sight, doesn't matter too much, does it? Do at least see pressure being put towards the side of Jhin. Suddenly his position isn't all too safe as you're making the movement at least, I think maybe a little bit slower than expected, but better late than never. As the Goyos do go out, you're getting rid of the delay that you need to. You can also now play Jhin on this, I think, a little bit more odd side in the Logi, but actually a very good one here is if he makes an impact hole, suddenly it's almost impossible to stop. I'm not sure what Kex is really going for here. I think he's going to try to swing in and find another Sanctuaries down, and Kex looking for the ace maybe because who needs teammates when you have one good man for the job. Stunt once again in a position where he could cause all the chaos, but it might not matter. His positioning is going to decide all. He does at least find the down here. Jhin should be a very, very strong position here, but you find one. All you have to do is not throw up your stunt. Just hold your body, and it should be all going your way. As time is going to wind down on you, you won't have much time to do much of anything, and Stunt probably going to find his first kill of the game here. Unless he's going to play slow, make it close. He does find it just barely. Not going to find the down, I guess. Down body stays alive. He's not. Center at least keeps his one. Oh, Jawe. The way bros, I low-key forgot. I'm not going to cap. Sins, though, just find themselves the even half. Overall, I mean, there's certainly, I think, hope here from Sins, but you're going to need to see just a little more. At least consistency-wise. The numbers are going in your favor, but you need consistency is always going to be the issue. You do at least have two good players, I think, here, which is Sanctuaries and Nubre, who both seem to be very locked in. Problem is you need more from others. You need more from Jins. You need more from Sin. You need more from Stunt. They all have positions that they need to play, and they're not playing at the top level you need to see. Especially when a game so far has been relatively close. A game, at least this game has been relatively close. Mostly map 1 is, I think, a little bit more of a sight for sore eyes as a Sins fan. We still got time and what could be a map to pull it back. Numbers-wise, I mean, entries still look very, very dominant from one side, which is, to be entirely fair, Armani, they are a relatively great entry team, and we're seeing that pretty consistently. You're finding your numbers, you're finding those first, and holding it has always been an issue for them, but not getting those first, they've always been relatively consistent finding them. I think it's more interesting to see how consistent we're going to be able to have players like Foreign, like Dean, who have popped a little bit more back into, I think, a subtle role. We see someone like Kex, surprisingly, who is popping off a little more than I think expected. Vipe at least getting the wall a little bit slower and I think more unexpected style, but it will work nonetheless if he knows what he's doing. Newbray does find the first, but he's also down, taken out by Zeno, and suddenly the numbers are all but back to tied. You do see that one chunk of the wall look soft, and suddenly you got what you needed. Noticing Sanctuary takes some damage to the fire as he's being put in a hard position, taken out by Kex, and Sin much better and much more able to hold that Capital fire as he does have the docks. This is one of the very few sites where even in pro level he is very viable. You do have to entirely be fair if you can get yourself over there. Very strong position here. Doesn't matter from Dean. Make sure that pick goes out early and you do at least have one from Stunt. Much better start, but you need to at least try to find Dean here. You need to find one more to try to guarantee yourself Raptors, but instead you're going to take the damage. Really want to make this fight iffy as it's a 3v1. Sins need to pop off. Stunt at least finds one. Numbers and positions don't look his way as Zeno's going to be able to hold the pre-fire. Vipe has the angle he needs and he's going to find it. 3-2 Armani. This is a little bit more late news for some of you, but only thing was just a week ago. We did see the Homicide roster get dropped on PC, and they're back on the console. Which we will see how well that ends, as they certainly had some strong teams at times. Homicide 5.2, if I'm not mistaken, had a couple other variations of relatively good teams that would later end up under the Wild Boys tag. But I like that the idea that Homicide is back. I like some more competition. I question what their motives are from going backwards, but you never know. I'm certainly interested to see how it's going to come out if we do see Homicide come back to what would be a return to glory. I think they've shown at least the ability to handle. What's the server? This one is Champions League. I just gotta make like a link tree because this is way too inconvenient. DM blah. Oh my god, that's not all caps. There we go. To do this back to normal. We do see the plant go down as I'm trying to figure out and fiddle what's going on. They don't even really know what's going on under them, and suddenly the plant's down, and Armani have a very, very strong chance here to get a 4-2. Find one body in Sanctuary, which is a good start. You need to hopefully find two, which you do find. Sin goes down. It's at least tied right back up by Jin Newbray. Now it's a 1v3, and what looked also strong of a post plant suddenly turns a bit sour with only 30 seconds left. It's certainly very possible that we see this come out the way of Sins. Now with that hatch, or with that pipe stopping you from making a lot of actual moves in a hard hatch here, you won't have time to do anything, as Jin is just going to be able to hold the diffuser. It will not matter in a much needed 3-3 hatch. As once again, we end in that 3-3. Inconsistency has been the issue at times, but you're getting the good start. You also do get to see another set of bands. Blah, oh my god. Jesus, my CPU is being pushed to the max today, I guess. I don't even know what it's from. Whatever, live and learn. Damn. Got a fast-ass internet. Now, going off of my own specs, you do see the bands of Ace and Cade. Very bland, very boring, and you expected it. You'd hope to see something more interesting. That will not be the case. You do see the Thermite and the Bandit, which are a little bit less banned, but still very common on a map like CC. Well, a side like CC and a map like Clubhouse. Okay, backwards now. I think these bans are a little bit more benefiting towards Sins. I think losing electricity is something hard to make up for with any other op, but you still do have the Habana. You have at least the basics to get yourself somewhere. If you do want to get a wall, Armani, though, is not going to have much to work with in terms of that wall to now. Because let's be honest, mute is not really the play.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Drop invites to what? Oh, the servers? I mean, if you want to, just do drop an invite to a Wild Boy server, and then they have a console network thing that's very convenient. It just has like the prizes and everything. Thank you to Gulia. That is what she goes by. Very, very convenient, but it does give you all the links in one little spot. Overall, I mean, I think that there's still quite a bit looking good for Armani. They're on the easier half. They're on the better half. They might not have the K that they'd hope for, but they can still hold upstairs with a castle extension, which is generally their forte when they lose the K, which is very commonly against them. I think the only odd question is we do not see a mute or any type of SAS operator to play those main stairs, so instead they're going to be played by what would be assumed as foreign, but it could very well be that we see a lot of players move in and out of that central stairs that you would normally hold with a SAS operator like mute or smoke or even warden at times. Instead, you're going to see it be held by, I think, a lesser known or maybe nothing at all, really bit of force. And this, to be fair, is a bit of a difference compared to their usual playing. Because, yes, I have most of the rounds, at least memorized what's going on. Madden-wise, Sin's map control, it's being held well, but the issue is it's too slow. We're not seeing the roam clear like a Dokkaebi. We're not seeing anything to really get it fast enough, which is what the issue has been for a while. As a team, they're good at holding map control, but the issue is just they will give up so much on time. They don't have a good drone netting, and compared to a lot of T3 teams where you can feel that chemistry, sort of, it's not the same percent as of right now. We're gonna quadruple task. Newbray does find the first here on the Bravo, which, to be fair, is once again not his most played op. In fact, he actually generally doesn't like it, but it doesn't seem to matter for him. Still providing some value, even on the ops that he's not super fond of. Go to Twitch on my phone. Once again, I think once you can get rid of these Malusis here, it gets you quite a bit of value. Gives you a bit of a net to work with, which is, once again, a very strong thing. And our 5v2 Sins at least look much better coming into this other half. You do see at least finish off as Kex finds one, but traded out by Jin's. Sins up one more. There we go. Now that's solved, I can go back to game issues. Beefer, which has not been much, but Sins have at least looked stronger. You do have one man that has come more into his own, Zeno. It's very, very weak in map 1, but we've seen some inconsistency from him on Cafe. It's not one of his best maps. So when you see him on a map that is one of his favorites, we're seeing that kind of come into play. A plus 10 trade differential, 8 and 4. What more could you want from one man? And a man that I think can flex around quite a bit, which is your best thing to have. Certainly interested to see what we're going to see value-wise, I think, from these players. I think Foreign and Dean have kind of fallen back in a position where they don't need to. It's not necessarily a bad thing, I think, long-term, to have, you know, your star players can fall back and just play a bit more of a normal game, where we see some other players like Kex, like Zeno, step themselves up to make up for it. I think it's a big thing like Armani, and a big plus that they do have is they have the amount of they have a deep enough roster they can handle that. When one player goes down, when two players are struggling a little bit more, you still have life in your team. You still have players that can step up to that occasion and keep going on. That is what has generally gotten them, I think, very, very far in leagues. It's the reason they're going far in SSW1. It's the reason they're able to be monarched pretty single-handedly, because they're able to keep themselves consistent. The level of play is consistent because they got the numbers to do it. They got the true star power that most teams cannot. 5.2 does not count. They choke every playoff, so I don't want to hear none of that 5.2 hasn't. And maybe because now that they're coming to Wild Boys, no longer will the aura of an Obey player make them lose their shirt. But you never know. We can hope that they don't turn out to be like the Steelers, because they're the equivalent of the Steelers right now, like the Vikings. Foreign with an angle and taken out by Sanctuaries. Not the same man, but still the same value here as you do get your first pick if you are Sins, which is a much better start. Maybe even a map 3 if you're lucky. I will explain T3F later. Dean is taken immediately out by Sanctuaries. Apparently he has a little bit of the force inside of him to make sure he doesn't lose that body. They keep the advantage that they do want to see. Jin is once again going to be the battering ram to get themselves up in these areas where they don't have a lot to really get them there, except that one man. Not a bad thing. You certainly see the push coming towards you. It's just, can you deal with it? Vipe at least finds one on the Sanctuaries, which to be fair is a very strong player to get rid of. There's still a lot more you want to deal with. You're getting the swing from at least what should be Xeno, and good aggression from here. Problem is that when these windows go down, it's going to make the options you have much more limited. It's going to limit what you can really move around with, and the rotations are going to be pretty gone as crosses can be held on all those windows. Foreign at least has a shotgun in hand to try to even those numbers. Xeno finds one of the C4. Nailing down Nubre uses a bit of an odd strategy, but he gets the kill nonetheless. Uses the pre-fire to make sure his audio isn't heard. In 1v3, Armani's gonna have to step up big here, where you might be able to find one and some damage, but it's not gonna be pretty if you do want to finish this. His time is gonna be the big thing. They have all the time in the world to work with. You do not. You're being pushed into a corner. You need to find one, but instead, Stunt finds it, and maybe he's stepping up to finally prove his role long term. Okay, I played T3 for not even 6 months as a player, and then I stepped back, played as a coach for what should be around 2 years now, on and off. And then I am now mostly caster, but I'm still kind of coaching. It's a weird iffy thing, but it is what it is. Instead, it does at least bring me a little bit more of a unique perspective to strategies. Maybe not so much in console, but at least in these you at least find it. You get to see a little bit more. I know general strats and siege theory that isn't known by most casters. Anyone can strat out an SSG roam, but now I really don't wanna, but I'm hearing some tech issues, and as much as that does not sound fun, looks like a tech pause all but imminent for at least a minute or two. We'll be back real quick. Well, maybe not the timing we'd hope, but we are back and finally playing our game.
Defenders
A better
protect
than
your
ever,
bombs
we
from
will
being
say,
defused
is
by attackers.
at least you are playing the game, and I suppose playing, and then you have 3 guys AFK. Oh well, you get in there eventually. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting times, I suppose. It's very interesting is Champions generally has a very different play audience, an audience of like players and who watch compared to FSL. Same sort of league, same general premise, but very different people who do it. Just a bit odd in my opinion, but very nice. I like it. Always like to have, you know, new people join in, see what casting is like, realize that console comp exists. Because to me, tell you fair, besides roller rivals, console comp doesn't really know much. Generally, finds the first one on the Xeno though, as I'm yapping my ass off. There's aggression on the one side is certainly a good help, and then maybe we see something. Maybe we see Sin Blackbeard his way through to find that wall. Maybe the questionable. I don't even think that's a full trick. Excuse me. Apparently, I'm wrong this time. They have Zofia and all ready for it. And they got a very, very good sizable wall into the, you know, made and ready. They can walk through, have a little bit more pressure that they can put on, and now you have Jins on the shield again to cause even more chaos. As there's a small chance that we do get to see a map 3, and we have to flip a coin to see who gets the side. You do at least see the pressure being applied. You do see a beautiful shot from Sanctuary. Maybe not the one expected, but he finds the numbers he needs. In the 3v5, you're looking for everything you can find. But you do miss on the Kex. That is not what you want to see. Stomach gets the escape off. Thorn finds one on a Jin. So the numbers and all the odds are not in your favor. As you had everything well planned and kind of just fell off. Just a miscellaneous hole, I guess. I suppose he's out still. And you see the sides of Nubre and Cax just trade the shots, see if they can find the numbers. Extreme aggression from one man, put down by Stunt as he's finally come more into his own to actually provide some value long term. Astonishing, I know. Hey, I mean, you're getting your value somehow, I guess, is what I'll say. Maybe not from the way you expected, but meh. Who's gonna complain about those kills? In a 2v3, you at least have what you want to see, but Vipe is sitting in the corner, and he could very well find 1 or 2 bodies if it all ends in a bad way. He knows who you are, but somehow Nubre finds the kill. Foreign finds at least 1 on a stun, but this doesn't look too pretty, as a 2v1 is never fun to deal with. You see as smoke go out mid-look, and now suddenly you're looking through white smoke as you're on the other side of your own mirror. This one doesn't look pretty at all, and they can hold everything on you, and suddenly you're in the position, you're on the defense, or the attack. As those sides flip, and now you're gonna have to try to make a move off of almost nothing, where you have paper crayons, prayer, and maybe, I don't know, some hope to go along. That doesn't really win you games. Gun skill does, and Sin finds it at the last moment. Match point. Very possibly see the same stat line we just previously saw. Sin's 6-3. Now, what in the world? Okay, I have a prediction up. I didn't have a prediction for map 2. That's so great. I suppose we'll have to get one for map 3 then. To be fair, at least it looks to be a map 3, as long as we don't see a generational throw from one side or a generational comeback from another. Which, to be fair, is within reason, as we've seen it from both sides to do some crazy shit. It's not like there isn't some crazy stuff that happens at times. Okay, my RAM is just loose. My RAM sticks, I just see, like, there's just, like, crystal parts that are sticking out. Whatever. Hopefully it handles on. There's a reason I put new RAM in, because that one is freaky.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by
This also is more fun, as I get to ramble on, since there's not too many viewers, I'm assuming. I haven't low-key checked in forever. But it's probably like 5 or 6 viewers. I get to ramble, enjoy my game. You know, live life. Do what you can. Who needs something crazy? Who needs, you know, a crazy thing? And just do your thing, man. In this case, you find Oblivious drones. Apparently, once again, Sins might be coming back overall, but their drone economy is hot buns. They suck at it. Great team, just not great sometimes. I've seen more consistent drone efforts from, like, I was going to say Stompin', but he's actually a pretty good droner. It's not who's a shitty droner, but a good player. Fringe. No, but he's a 1v1. No, I was going to say Fringe, but he lost. I was in a 5-man. I was going to be casting it from 3 a.m. tournament server. It's a small tournament server. And this man proceeded to go like 1-9. And then I was like, screw it, I'm not going to cast. Because first, he gets... The team that was the most exciting gets first rounded by a team that was, to be fair, good, but like, you're Fringe, you're supposed to be the all-holy grail, and you just lost absolutely the buns. Ruined my night. Hey, at least Dean's trying to get his back on track. Getting yourself a kill. The first one of the... I was about to say if we're going to see one traded out, but Dean apparently has a little bit more, you know, control in himself this time around. And I also see Zeno grab one off of, what is, to be fair, a bit of an oddball kill outside, but you get what you can have. Zeno might also be playing a little bit too aggressively here as he turns that pulse on and just comes back to sight. He's going to see there's quite a big push coming from one area and one area alone where you know where all the numbers are going. You see the one body. Question is, are you going to see any more? Well, you certainly do now, as it's not going your way at all, as you see 2 bodies go. Sanctuary, Sin both find 1. Not the numbers or the, you know, prospects you happen to see. Not looking pretty so far, but you can still report back. You still have the time. You still have at least some hope. And a lone C4 might find you it, but not today. Instead, it's going to be a half-health shot. The Goyo is being used relatively well by one man of Zeno. And a lurk up from one other way is he opts to possibly, would be smart thing is to ignore one side. Now you have pressure coming in from both sides. The Sanctuaries might not feel safe because there's a lot coming from different areas. As long as there's a good runaway and a prone with a bailiff. Beautiful shot from Foreign to keep that hopes alive. Keep what should be a relatively guaranteed round at this point. At least Armani got a little bit more left in the tank, because a Monty in a 1v3 is not looking pretty. Excuse me, at least finds 1 to make sure it's 2v3. Now you're dealing with one man from above, where you kind of just have to run and pray in another direction, because trying to fight that verticality is not ending well. So now you see him just kind of wait. Maybe not even extend his shield. Is he just going to opt to keep trying to charge it at him? That is the best play overall, is you want to just try to get your numbers here, but a down isn't going to matter. Kill isn't going to matter when Foreign's waiting for it, and he finds you. Maybe a little bit of a comeback, a second win from a team that hopefully wants to finish this 2-0 and keep themselves off of Nighthaven Labs, which, to be fair, is one of Sin's best maps. I'm gonna say there's like 5 viewers, honestly. It's not a bad thing. I enjoy the small views. Question of the day. 8-7, not far off. Gotta keep an over-under. It's a wild-ass over-under. I might just made the most ominous ass sound. I feel unsafe, and I'm the one using it. Give me the heebie-jeebies over here.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by...
There we go. Maybe, just maybe, we do see Armani come back and win 2-0. Would it surprise me? Yes, it would actually. I would be more surprised than not. You never know. You know, I need to get one of those IRL backpacks, like the crazy ones, for IRL streaming. I'm pretty sure they cost like a shit ton of money, but trust me, I need to get one, and I need to go to do random shit in the middle of nowhere. That'd at least be entertaining. IRL streaming certainly can be, at least. I have a trust her brother's doing incorrect. Friggin' bums, I say. And at least once again, you know what's gonna come, which is, well, maybe a Hibana trick. Do also have to deal with the fact there's a mute. That is going to cause more problems than not, but you can also go roundabout your way in there. Or have Jin shoot off that mute jammer. Both are going to cause the same thing, which is you get the wall eventually. Now the wall goes off. You're starting to see the pressure. Maybe all towards lean towards here. And Kex at least finds one body. Shoots the body for the mental warfare, I guess, because who needs normal physical ones that you can get in their heads? I'll see a bit of a miss shot against the blitz. And suddenly you're going to run in, find one body, maybe even two. Suddenly Kex is on a roll, and he might be able to find four. Maybe not, though. A 5v1, Armani looking at least a little bit more strong, a little more with life. They got something in them now. Also probably a little bit terrified, but hey, you're getting the job done. You also don't know how to ban a trick, or Habana trick, excuse me. Peasants, I say, peasants. Entertaining in life. Armani somehow winning a flawless round when, to be fair, if we do see this go and to overtime, I'm actually going to go at everyone in a server to say Madden-wise Sins has issues with finishing. That feels like a good waste of our time. And then I'll just say, anyways, infinite OT time. Which, to be fair, everyone likes infinite overtime. I'm pretty sure no one's going to say, no, I hate it. But, like, really, you're going to lose 3 straight to have it come to this? Or in this case, you're going to lose 2 straight to force what could be a do-or-die round, I think? You never know. Entertainment, I
Attackers
suppose.
need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
What song should I play when we're 2 hours into a game? 1995. Freddie Gibbs, The Alchemist, off of Alfredo 2. Yes. Goated album, by the way. Why not listen to some Alfredo 2? First one's goated, second one's goated. We're back up. What does that mean? What does that icon mean? Now I'm a little bit more interested. Hey, maybe we can see Armani finally get themselves into overtime, which to be fair would be a little funny that we see it go this far, but you never know. I don't even know what that is. It's just like a hidden maybe? I don't even know. I don't know. I'm gonna lose it now. It just has this one weird badge with an eye crossed out. I don't know what that means because I'm not up to date on Twitch anything besides the terms of service. You at least get the wall in good time, and you're also getting all of the other.
Attackers have located a bomb.
You're getting all of the other various points that you need. In this case, it mostly is just because you really need some pressure onto that Raptor side, because trying to get it without it, with the Azami sitting there being annoying, is going to be a bit of a struggle. But if you throw some Capture Fire up there, it suddenly looks a little bit more easy. Which does seem to be the plan long term, as you are seeing Sanctuaries get his way in. You're seeing the basic sort of progression be done. You also get the first pick if you are Stunter, which to be fair is a good start. And he might not even know, but he's going to just find free damage. I don't know what the plan was, because now you don't have the advantage you really hoped for, but as I say, that Sin immediately finds one, and Xeno's left in a position where he has a lot pushing towards him, but he doesn't have a great way to deal all of it at once. Not a reference to the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. No, but it's goated. I should probably rewatch that. And the swing downstairs, Stunt finds 2. Maybe I was too hard on the man, as he might be the worst statistically on the team, but he's still finding some hope. And with 4 in the last man alive to try to deal with it all by himself, maybe see something special, but this one looks like it's going to be all but over. Sin does finish, and finally, you do see some issues with finishing. Pause. It is finally done. Sins do finish it 7-5. Waiting way too long, buying way too much time. Now you get to see that map 3 that everyone hopes for. The oh so beautiful Nighthaven maps. We'll be back after a quick break of like 4 minutes.
This is Sprays, and this is the Counting Cards Podcast Week 1. Today we have with us Brian from Wild Boys. The
Hello.
leader. Let's start simple, though. Who are you?
My name's Brian. I am the CEO/chairman of the Wild Boys organization /LLC.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Han. Let's look to the past.
Okay.
So how did you start the org? How did it come to be?
How did I start the org? Well, funny enough, um, one day I was sitting there with a group of friends at this place called Twin Peaks, and one of my friends mentioned Jinxie, and I was like, Jinxie, who the fuck is that? So they pulled up his Twitch, and we were watching him, and he said something about like a $50,000 like game. I was like, what? There's no way. So me going into Discord and going around, I went through the main R6 server on Discord, and then I got recruited by forgot what org it was, but some small org where me, Knight, and Toxic, or when we get farther into the podcast, they'll become relevant, recruited me from to go play with them. Well, we joined this org together, and we were sitting there, and I was like, oh, okay. Learning on how leagues work, on who runs things. I was like, I want to do this. So one day I was like, yo, Knight, Toxic, if I make an organization, will you guys join? And they were like, hell yeah. And now that's the beginning of Wild Boys right there.
How many teams do you have in the beginning?
Okay. So in the very beginning of Wild Boys, I didn't understand on how necessarily comp worked. I thought as if I get 5 players, I have a team. I didn't understand that you had to have the best of the best, or they all had to be champ. So me, Knight, and Toxic decided to make 23 teams in Wild Boys when we first started. And half the team were coppers, half were like silvers, a couple plats. I think we had 1 diamond for 23 teams. And then, yeah, and then through then, we became more knowledgeable in the comp scene. And now, today, I'm pretty sure we have 12 teams.
So to also go off of that, is there like one player or a specific player or specific team that helped you gain popularity?
Yes. So, are you guys familiar with the guy named Cosmic?
A little.
Yes.
Okay. So, Cosmic, one day, I was sitting there on Wild Boys posting looking for org/players. I was going, hey, join Wild Boys. We're this and that. Well, Cosmic reached out, and his team at the time was called Code Black, and they were, in my opinion, probably one of the best teams in comp at the time. And Cosmic was like, hey, I have a really good team looking for an org. I'm willing to help get you started and etc. So I was like, shit, help me out. Well, Cosmic, me, Knight, and Toxic all got in a VC, and we talked, and next thing later, Code Black joined Wild Boys, and from there,
And we're back to what should be a very, very eventful map 3. I think maybe a little bit more of an unexpected one, but we are here. We do have what should be a banger in my opinion. And it's both of these teams' best maps, statistically at least. We're in the stats. That is my thing. And I think despite what is a lot of opinions saying this would be a 2-0, we actually have ourselves a nice map 3 on infinite overtime maybe. That one's hoping for maybe too much though. I've only seen overtime twice, and that was all in one game. I'm going to be entirely fair. I'm going to be all fair. I'll tell you what we can get. You do see the first bans at once again. It is bland, it is boring, but it is necessary. You do need to get rid of your Mira and your Ace. You hate it, but it is important. I mean, take what you can get, I guess. That's what I'll say. Take what you can find, in this case, which is a very, at least should be eventful final map. Plus, in my opinion, it should be a banger. I like it. I like both these teams. Sins is obviously one of my favorite teams. Statistically, I really enjoy how they play. Armani, I think they have a lot of potential, and they've always been that. They're kind of like the Justin Herberts of League, in my opinion. That or 5.2. The potential to do it all, but never truly finish. But I think, unlike 5.2, there is some very big hope for Armani, I think. I think there's a lot of hope here that they can get some big wins, try to go far in playoffs, and maybe get themselves up in a D1, go onto that bigger stage,
Protect your bombs from being
show a little bit
defused by
more.
attackers.
That will be interesting. The chat out of the bottom left corner of my eye, just keep proud of you figuring it out. Hey, it's baby steps over here. I didn't know how to cast until April, like mid-April, and I just learned how to use ads. It's a touch and go process, is what I'll say. I'm glad I'm not on the production side, because it makes it so much more confusing. At least generally. On the big days, I generally have someone else do production. I love T3 when they do that. I get a producer. I don't have to, like, worry about it. Shout out to the producers, though. Shout out to the people that have to actually, like, deal with the OBS overlays and, like, 400 different things going on. Y'all are goats. At least, like, the ones that actually do, like, craziness stuff. I respect that. Over here, we do respect our less-known talents. You do also have what should be a relatively large, I think, start. I was about to say for Sins, but apparently I was put right back down as one pick goes to Vipe, and suddenly your numbers don't look too strong. And with the Azami, the Raptors isn't going to be too strong of a hold, but it's still a very viable hold, is the best way to put it. I don't know what Sanctuaries is trying to be in Typhair is. Oh, he sends another one in. That makes more sense. You do also find Newbray finding one on the foreign, which always good to get rid of these star players here early on. You want to make sure you have, which should be the easiest execute you can, getting rid of arguably one of the best players in the league. No, one of the best, I think, role players in the league. Oh, there's a good start. If you're Xeno, though, you're going to try to hold a hell of a lot of angles, and, well, it could work in this situation. It's a very iffy one, and you also do miss your two-brow, which is not the start you want to see. Just making yourself very, very known. Instead, Sanctuaries finds you, Stunt finds another, and suddenly the numbers are not so well in your favor. As you're down to a little bit of hope here. You at least find one of your Vipe. Again, the issue is I think that this site is looking a little bit too easy to fight him. As long as we see some sort of fight on the other side, which does seem to be Sanctuary's issue, or accurately his idea. The Vipe is going to have to kind of hold two angles at once, where Raptors could be an issue, and so could this farther angle. He does at least find one, makes it a 2v2 with a shotgun, and suddenly it's down to 2v1 as numbers look so perfect, and suddenly they're all gone now into what is a much harder situation. You at least find the one. Make that two is somehow, despite the shotgun in the hand of Vipe, doesn't seem to matter as he finds the numbers and pulls out a much needed first round. Damn it, I need to put on my friggin' predictions at normal timings. Whatever. You'll see this at the end of round one. Nothing is decided at one round. At least I hope not. Start prediction. Who is winning map 3?
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
2 minutes. Boom. Only a little bit behind. Perfect. Perfect. I think that one girl said perfect in a weird way, and she made coffee or something and like weird drinks at like 2020. Who do you think will win this? I honestly probably gonna give it to Sins. I think this map is one of their best statistically, and I really trust them in a map like this. I think that there's certainly some hope here if you are Armani, but it isn't, I think, anywhere near as strong. This map isn't really a signature for them. It's more just a good one, which isn't a bad thing. Everyone has their good maps, and is that journal hidden? Okay, that's like well hit. That's like well hidden, and I'm not finding that. Freaking crazy ass pros. But no, I think that since this will be their map, I think that they have a lot more experience here. They've shown a lot better, and they've also shown that they can handle better teams, which I think is the big difference. We haven't seen Armani beat a lot of strong teams here. They've beaten the Humbugs, they've beaten, the 1-5s, 2-5s. we haven't really seen them been able to beat a much stronger seed, like a number 3 seed, a number 2, or like something like Dark Matter. You know, those true strong, dominant teams you have to worry about. So, it's certainly possible, but I would call it unlikely. Well, pre-roll ads and all ads during the game should be disabled unless this one takes it to instant overtime, in which case, at that point, I can't do much. The ads are going to roll in occasionally, and I can't do much about that. I'm sorry. Yeah, Clippy, bro. I wanted my night. I wanted, you know, a night of hopefully some normal sleep, but instead it looks like this one's going to be downloading and uploading. I'm not getting sleep till 11:45, which that's going to suck ass. But live and learn. On the other side of the board, you do at least see what should be a very, very eventful other quarterfinals besides this. DME or Dark Matter, Esports versus Voltage should be a banger. You also have someone like, obviously this game is like Sins and Armani. And then you have what should be a fun one, at least with, what is, I always forgot what they're called. Is it 109? Yeah, it's 109. What feels like the knockoff 907, despite them being created first. Versus Redemption, so here to see a little bit of Charlie Whirling is oh so amazing, Legion Chuck. Jin also finds one. Once again, this Blackbeard shield does seem to be a bit of a staple to his gameplay, as it might not be as strong as suit, but it's one that's very consistent, and consistency is key in a game where everything can feel very iffy at times. You also do a Xeno sitting in the corner, so if you have one good drone here, it's going to be a very easy kill, and one, you know, if you don't drone here, you're going to see one very sad death. You do have the bodies to spare here, so it's not like it's a bad thing. Vipe also pushes up here, I think a little bit too easy, and finds a bit of a freebie. Xeno is taken down finally after playing around, wasting his food, and you have two bodies upstairs where all of the fights could happen before we even really get to a good post plant here. As Jin finds another triple in the round, and Foreign stuck in a position where he doesn't have a lot to work with, numbers-wise. His fights aren't there, and Stunt's going to finish with a much better 2-0 start. Suddenly the team that looked a little bit too weak at times finally starting to show what feels like a bit of momentum on a map that is much more theirs. I don't know why they'd leave such thing to a decider, but you know, you do what you can, because I suppose that's all you can do. But this is one of their best maps, and yet they left it so late, which is one of the biggest things to me. I don't know why. If they brought this early, they probably could have had such a more dominant play, just because that they're genuinely an amazing team on this. But instead, it's just this weird little, we're going to see it in a decider, when this could have been a 2-0 if they played their maps right, I think. If they got the momentum map 1, or even map 2, I think it would have been much better. Instead, you're going to play something iffy like this, where you're going to make sure everything's up to chance. Maybe good for the caster, but in terms of team thinking of maps, maybe not so much. But once again, I'm maybe reading too far into the lines, as I'm all about stats, but I think most teams would vomit if they heard how many stats I collect, when they themselves don't even care that much. Levels of passion, I suppose. Or caring. My spreadsheet's super off today. Guess we're gonna raw do stats, but overall, it at least looks good so far on one side. 4 in the morning? What time zone are you? Jeez Christ. Thank you for tuning in, but like, you're a bad dude. I'm serious. Just like, take a nap. Take a nap for like 8 hours, please. Respectfully, I'm telling you to go to bed. I'll lose the one viewer. Enjoy your night. Or enjoy your morning, bro. You're gonna wake up at like noon and your entire day is gonna be gone. I'm over in Central. I don't know what kind of weird-ass land you're in. And a botched bomb trick, because once again, it feels like they're not super consistent at it, and it's going to cost you every time if you don't know what you're doing. Damn, 4 in the morning, damn. Dude, chill. Get some sleep. Stop chugging a 5-hour energy. Hey, you at least know what's going to happen here, as you know where Xeno is. You also know that this Blackbeard can probably force his way in if he really wants to. After the recharging, it's a little bit more safe, a little bit more glad to have it. Damage traded that goes much better in the way of the side of Sins. They get a lot of damage on the Xeno here, their main roamer. That's what you want to find here. You want to find that body. But also is, to be entirely fair, a very large SSG roam. Some of you might be a little more unfamiliar with it, but this is when you have so many bodies upstairs and they'll link in what is a bit of a chain. And you find one, like Foreign, good pick there from him, but if you find one of those bodies early on, the problem is that it can create that link where you cannot truly fall back in a good way. It's not as consistent and, you know, purposeful, but it can still be done. Sanctuaries gets a little bit of damage sent onto him. But still have a lot going your way here. However, Jin is certainly looking to be what could be, I think, the strongest moving factor here, as the shield is already very strong, and he's one of the best shield players in the league right now, despite his very odd stats at times. Again, finding another where it feels they just walk into him, and despite his very loud stature, he's finding quite a bit. My TikTok just... That's crazy. My TikTok chat just connected. This shit has been playing for literally the entirety of the game. However. Apparently, Jin's just going to find every single body with his little bit of work here. Is who needs help when you're just one man with a very, very large gun and a very, very large C4? You do survive it, and Flash is coming towards one man. He's certainly going to be screwed either way. Stunt does find it, and suddenly Sins look all too strong as... This isn't looking so pretty. Just doing some of the numbers here as this is morning 11. Hey, I'm all open for from expression from all, but like, damn, dude. That makes a lot of sense. Still, it's an early ass morning, man. I mean, good for you, I guess, for getting up that early. But like, damn. Still. Ugh.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being used by attackers.
I'm already getting tired here. You do at least see what should be a very strong start and what should be a very much guaranteed advantage, at least advantageous half for the side of Sins. With unless we see a very, very large throw. This one looks very, very consistently good. Love to see it. If you are a Sins fan, Armani, maybe not so much. Maybe not going to look so pretty. There's still a chance for a comeback here if you see some big plays. Even a 4-2 would really do it. 5-1, I think you're going to scratch your head at the chances of one, but even then, you never truly know. We might be able to see something fun. Yeah. I could never run a European team. I could never even coach. I couldn't do that. I got... Unless it's... I don't know, maybe. It should be weird time-wise. And casting-wise. They cast in European, I'm at like noon doing stuff. You see a little bit of damage done, I think. Not really the way they expected, but... Hey, you take what you can get and you don't throw a fit. Unlike kindergartners, these are supposed to be the cream of the crop of console. Wow. Ying's are poke. Well, I think that Ying detonation lasts a little bit long, but somehow he gets away with it and gets a good shot. And now you have what should be maybe a guaranteed C4. Threw it the wrong way. Instead, it's going to be a very odd swing into a shotgun where you might be able to find one if you're Jins, but let me trade it right back out. Hi, Dean. It's hard to keep numbers when something like that can happen. And you still keep the mute around, so your drone, it's never going to be all too well done. It also means you can't demo them. Somehow Foreign finds one in the midst of all of the madness, and pretty good numbers here, at least for Armani, but I think you really do need something more where apparently the entirety of the plan is to shove it through that one door. Newbray's finding his value, maybe in other ventures, but Foreign is kind of the person trying to hold off what feels like a lot of the pushes, but Newbray's the man getting all of it done. Problem is he has a shotgun in one hand, and he's going to have to be very, very careful about that, as that alone is going to cause him a lot of the issues. And a shotgun shot from the other, and Zeno with a good MP4 shot. You suddenly have a very, very good half, if you are Sins. You still haven't slept? Damn, dude. It's 90-second delay, so trying to talk with chat is not a play, but like... You know? Live life. Enjoy it.
attackers.
Yikes. Insomnia, I suppose, but damn. At least I'm assuming I can't sleep anymore. Oh, you mean like, well, maybe insomnia. I don't even know. I'm nor a doctor or a therapist for these kind of things. Ugh. Just screeching in the mic is gonna make me annoyed. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I mean, I think if you're Sins here, even if you lose a ridiculous amount of rounds, you found what you needed. Even if you go 3-3, you still got your rounds. I mean, a 4-2 would be advantageous, but... Worst case scenario is your average. Best case scenario is you can end this pretty single-handedly. God forbid, if we see a 5-1, I mean, Sins could certainly throw it away, but it'd be a masterclass of just throw away if they actually do have that happen. Everything looks up for once, and I think they have the operators and the mental to pull it off, which should be hopefully a regulation game for Sins. On the basement, we do finally see what is not an SSG realm, instead a much more normal bunkery sort of play. Not a crazy thing overall, but it does also allow for, I think, a little bit more just play on the site. If you do lose walls, if you do lose something more direct, you still have a chance to really crawl it back. A post plan is a little more doable when everyone's on site. I guess. No. Oh. 30 seconds to get European leagues for my weekends. I can take up games during my free time, and I think it'll be a nice thing. Unlike a lot of Europeans, I don't have a very thick accent for obvious reasons. So it's much more clear English. No hate on them, but when you're trying to speak another language, there's always generally an accent. You never know that. Newbray founds one, stunned with another, and suddenly numbers are not looking all too well for Armani when they really need these rounds to try to patch up what is a very gaping hole in advantages. You have Jin in one area. You have a lot of people all sort of just grouping up, waiting for that moment where they say, move in. Sanctuary finds another, and you could maybe see a crazy post-plant play. It doesn't look likely, as you're going to have to hope for something. One pick here is not exactly the end of the world. Make that 2, and suddenly this round is a little more winnable. We have the shields down. You played your cards right. Now, numbers don't look all too sad. Don't look all too crazy. I think the difference in terms of positioning right now is we don't see a lot really great from Sins. You're going to be able to get rid of the Goyos in time, so it's not that much of an issue, but you'd hope to see a bit more, I think is the word, the best way to put it. Still have shots being taken. Xeno does find the kill, and suddenly numbers are all even, and Goyos are going down, and there's a C4 in your hand. This doesn't look exactly like an unwinnable game here. They at least know where the plan is. They know where he is. They make the move to find one. Now you're going to have to make it all down to Xeno as he'd have to clutch everything here. You got to get this post plant, but you don't have the diffuser in hand. Risking a lot on time here, especially with this a crappy C4. It doesn't do it, and you're going to find the 1v1 that you cannot have here. You need to try to go for the plant. But instead, Xeno, everything looked away and didn't look possible. Instead, yes, it's 90 seconds away from the stream slant. Not because I like it, but I gotta. Surprisingly, Armani pull it out with numbers absolutely away from them. They pull something out of their ass. Pause. Magic tricks aside, I think Sins still at least have a chance to get a 4-2, and that is advantageous, but if you let a team like Armani win 3 straight, issues are going to come. No matter how else you put it.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Sad times, that 90-second delay.
Bomb
You'll have to work with
located
it.
by attackers.
And overall, it's certainly, I think, a good start. You have everything you need here if you're Armani to pull this all back and go to a much better path. Oh, what's up, DK? I honestly did not expect to see you up this late. I thought you were Eastern, so I thought you would be in bed, but I'll be glad to have someone I do know, to be fair, much better. I want to see if I can get SSL and Champions to let me announce each other's grand finals in the server. And maybe in Wild Boys, maybe I can get all three to announce the grand finals. To be fair, that happens. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have 4 announcements for my games back to back to back to back to back. Because all of them are going to be in August. All of them are going to be in 1 week. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing almost all of them. Because SSL I know is mine. I'm probably going to take Champions Grand Finals. And that alone is a lot. That's what'll be 15 maps possibly in the span of what'll probably be 4 or 5 days. That's absurd. That's some absurd shit. And we'll see though, maybe the timing doesn't work out and suddenly 2 are placed in the right day. Or the same day, more accurately. Something a double header with BO5 is gonna work out from that sleep schedule. You never know. Armani at least look to be moving. Once again, they're very reactionary. They don't really feel the need to push something too crazy. They're fine with keeping numbers in a very slow start. I think that's just a difference in how they feel right now, where you're up 2 rounds, you don't feel the need to push you don't feel the need to push the needle. You don't feel the need to try to play these aggressive angles because you have what you want. You have your 2 rounds. You already got what should have been impossible. And now you have a chance to tie it back up, in which would be a massive comeback. And Foreign and Vite find a quick 1-2, and suddenly a 3-3 looks all but inevitable. You might find one if you're Newbray, but trades are going to come out. Kex is going to find one. What do you have to? What do you even have to hang on here? A flash isn't really going to save you. You're going to have to try to pre-fire. You at least find one to try to get the numbers back together, but it's a 3v2. Numbers and time aren't looking really in your direction. And you still have Kex hiding close upstairs where his angle and the diffuser is going to make this not a pretty fight. You at least tie the numbers back up if you are Sins. We've seen this a lot where the momentum can shift so fast between teams where generally it is Armani getting these clawing back 2-3 player advantages, but we're still seeing it from Sins. We're still seeing, I think, that crazy level of momentum that you don't expect with a lot of teams and with a lot of players. Which, to be fair, I think is very, very entertaining. Thomas Kex rising with a mute jammer perfectly in place. It does save him from getting Grim Bead, so they don't know quite yet, but you swing for that diffuser and suddenly you're going to be very, very sure there's a body over there. Kex apparently decides to hold the weird angle provided with the kill port. Could at least help you here. You can maybe even find 2, but you're going to have a pistol in hand. It's not going to be an easy one to win. Newbray at least wins it, and now you have a player playing close that you don't really know is there. You have a shotgun in hand if you're Dean. Everything doesn't look all too well on my Rhombus. I forgot it's 90-second list. You won't even know. But in a 1v1, it didn't look possible, but apparently they're all playing the same chessboard because they know very well where they're moving. They know what the plan is. Newbray is playing close. Everyone is kind of ready for the same plan. Trying to go for it is about as risky as it can get because time is going to be your enemy here. And it's in a 1v1, so you don't have a lot to hang on. But somehow Newbray pulls it off, winning the 4-2 half. A bit of a nail-biter. Maybe Sins do have hope. Maybe they do have the chance to finally get themselves the map when they need. Bans going on. I would expect, once again, pretty default things. I don't think we're going to see anything crazy this late. I think it's sort of in that middle ground where you see the real, crazy ideas. And once again, I'm right. That sounds wild, arrogant, Jam. God damn. But Mira and Ace are the most commonly banned ops on Nighthaven, and Ace is one of the most, I think, is the common op to ban by far. I think it's like an 80-something% ban rate. It's absurd. 84? In ranked and in comp, he is pretty consistently banned. If it's at least it generally is a fine ban, but I think it's a little bit overrated. Is the best way to put it. You never know. Overall, I mean, it's still very winnable, I think, if you are Armani. You have what is, to be fair, a much better half than you were expecting, but
Attackers need to locate.
You're really going to have to show out here with, I think, quite a few of your role players have to come into their own here. You're going to have to see Kex pop in. You're going to have to see Dean get back to that MVP form that we saw him in map 1, We're not seeing that right now, which is the big issue. I mean, it's all within reason, I think, especially with a team like Armani. We've seen them pull back crazy deficits more than once, so I don't think it's crazy to say we can see it one more time in a game that matters all too much for them. They want to get the win. They want to try to move on, win a dominant finals. Maybe they can complete the I suppose, the double crown. Not really a triple crown. Kind of. And not anywhere near as prevalent. I think a triple crown would be... That'd be interesting if there's a triple crown. If you win, it would be Black Hole, Champions, and SSL. Hey, you can at least connect. You can at least try to collect the double crown, which maybe isn't the same, but it's nice. Jin taking a lot of pressure downstairs, but getting some damage, getting some, I think, well needed. Couple shots there, try to make those numbers more doable. Issue though is you can't really do much here because the two round is going to try to slow everything down. Not if you shoot the K, that certainly does buy you time. Does buy you what you need, but instead Jin's going to find it. He's also going to find the two brow there, which is going to buy him even more. You might not be able to guarantee yourself the wall anymore, but really it's going to get a pick for your troubles, and that alone I think is a very, very wealthy trade. You're getting what you want. They can just buy as much time as they want. There's not much they can do about it, right? Yeah, you'll get the wall, but you're going to waste a lot more time than you wanted. You're going to waste a good amount of utility, and you're going to lose a body for your troubles, which is not what you want to have happen. Especially when you're already down bodies. Already down numbers, you don't want to see it happen. You want to get around them here, but everything is not looking in your direction. See a bit of an odd zombie from Stunt to try to buy himself more time. Once again, I think time is an all-deciding factor in a game like this, where I think using that to just run your way back, Jin finds another double in the round. He seems to be the driving force this time, where it feels like it can switch every single round. Sanctuary finds another triple, 2v5, and suddenly Armani looks even weaker. This is where it starts to get scary here. You cannot afford to give this big of a lead to a team like Sins. Want to end it here, want to end it now. Try to get it closer, at least put stopping on the bleeding, but doesn't look right. Doesn't look like it can really be done here in a 2v5. We're going to have to see numbers thrown at them. I see miracles kind of pulled, as I don't think we're going to see anything really given up. Which is the big issue here, is what is really going to be given up for you to get those numbers. You do at least catch one in the Sanctuaries here. From over-aggression on the two-brow, you could maybe catch one. You're stuck yourself in a bad position, as eventually Stunt is going to find you in a 1v4. You're looking for a miracle. It's a berry just sprinkled onto a round that doesn't look very winnable. Maybe if you see a good gap placed your way, but this one doesn't exactly look all too easy, even if it is possible to win. Because you whiff the shot that need to be won. You might be able to find the down, but there's be a lot of angles held on you. One from behind, and Sin finds it. 5-2. Sins. Now you approach that ever so dreadful moment where you could possibly see a match point. There's a lot you have to make up. I'm gonna be honest though, you gotta low-key cat when you're anything on Twitch, don't even pay attention to viewers. You gotta imagine there's 400 or 4, I don't care what you imagine, but it does help. There's probably like 4 viewers. This is only a D2 game, so there's not anywhere near as much coverage compared to, you know, your D1 players. Even if I think that team difference is not as much as you think, especially with a team like DME, with a team like Sins, those top 5 seeds I think are interchangeable with a lot of those D1 teams. At least some of them. This year's going to be very exciting for Console Con. We're going to see either it tumble and fall very miserably, or we're going to see it do very, very good. All up to how some of these leagues go. And what players happen. I don't know why, and this, I'll admit this is a bit more odd. I've gotten like, I probably put to like 45 DMs. We're like, hey, how do we get into comp? I'm like, okay, I guess, yeah. It's kind of random, but I'll take more people into a competitive space. Always love a bigger community, why not? one has also then gone on a little bit longer than most expected, where a 2-0 or even if we did see through mass, it would be expected to be a bit of a beatdown at third. It's not ending that way. We're seeing a lot more fight from a team that wasn't really expected to see it. Armani, despite their much lower seed, are putting up fights compared to a lot of teams that wouldn't really expect it. Stunt at least finds one here. Make Jin with another, and maybe that match point isn't all too crazy now as it's looming over your head. You're going to be able to at least get more damage on the Dean. Here, you need to find something big if you're Kex. You need to find something big if you're at least someone here. Your numbers aren't in your direction, but you can pull them back if you get a big play here. You can pull them back if you use your shield, use your utility, pull it back together. Maybe get yourself a winnable round, but you got to play it right, and you got to see Sins actively try to over-aggress here and maybe give you too much. Stun, I think, is in a position where a lot could be coming towards him, and he's sort of putting himself in a position where a lot of bodies could be given up if it's not played right. New Bright at least finds one to make it a 2v5, make that a 1v5, and this one looks all but over as match point is looming over the head. And a beautiful, flawless from Sins, and you see yourself in a match point. Sins. 6-2. That, to be fair, that does viewers do affect things, but like, we'll see. I'll admit, though, I do need to set up a link tree because as enjoying as I do find it to realize that there are people joining, I've had to close like 45 DMs, and most of them are literally just dudes saying, "Hey, how do I get in a comp?" It's great they're doing it. I just need to get a link tree so it's not put that way. And just send them to Wild Boys, and then they can do like the console network thing you set up. Very convenient for Wild Boys to get more players, and then I can not have my DMs flooded. We'll see. I'm supposed to maybe cast Roller Rivals too. Well, not the big days, but like a Monday or Tuesday maybe. He boxed him out. The small things in life that are entertaining, and this one will be a first floor site with all of it on the line really for Armani, and a lot more space that I think since we're expecting with how close quite a few of their maps have been. I don't think they were expecting to have this big of a gap by quite a bit, so a take we can get, I'd say, but this is certainly, I think, a bit unexpected. And Stunt apparently realizes that, yeah, the castles are replaceable, so he's going to make Sin and do all of that work. Sin Nia is now everything, and not even complain about it. Hey, but to be fair, you at least have a very strong roam here, which should be a probably SSG roam combined with a rat, because you sort of have what I like to call a fun third protocol because of that oh so beautiful Scopos. Do they probably think that far ahead? God, no. I'm pretty sure that's only me. But it is a fun thing to think about, where you have teams, they have 2 roamers, 2 plans, and then the third one can be an optional objective. In this case, it seems to be the plan is Sanctuaries calms himself. That sounds awful. He comes back up. Now he can just kind of keep swapping back and forth if it ever benefits him, and huge swing early on. Vipe tries to find something, but I think the aggression is going to really cause an issue because you can't afford to do that in a game like this. You cannot afford to lose bodies, and when everything is on the line, you need to play a combined team that feels like everyone is working together, but doesn't feel like it was there right then. Got to see a very cool animation there from Scopos, where she does actually have a unique animation for Dokubi calls. Only she does. Most others, I don't even think, have it close to one. You see New Bright Sanctuaries both find one in a 2v5. This one looks all but over, as you're going to see miracles. You're going to see something done from Foreign or Kex. They haven't shown up so far, but this would be the biggest situation where they can find the bodies, they can find the numbers, and maybe get themselves around just to stay alive. It's a 1v5. This one looks all but over. You might be able to get your numbers up. You might be able to get a 1v4. But what are you going to do when Foreign is in a situation unwinnable? When Armani is back, their back's against the wall, everything is against them. What do you do? It's a question you got to ask, and Jin might be able to find it here, and maybe a bit of an odd angle as he's going to swing out, try to find it early on. Aggression from all sides as Scopos is looking for it, but instead Foreign finds it to 1v3. Everyone's upstairs. It's not exactly winnable, but there's still a slight chance here. Maybe something. Maybe just a small chance that you can really get there. You can find that. You can break that hump. You can go over. Keep playing. Try to move on and maybe cover up the banding, cover up the bleeding, make it stop now. But Foreign stays alive, trying to find the ace here, but there's so much he has to do, but it's a quad instead. Foreign looking to find everything as it's all up to him. One man for the job, and apparently he intends to do it all. Who needs it? Who even needs a team at this point when you have a Foreign? Problem is you're in a situation that's not easy when you don't really know. You have to try to go off of what is, to be fair, a very, very hard thing to do. Skopos has at least a little bit of watching on it. And now you have to try to fight the 1v1 with the castle with you being lower than ever and him having time and everything on his side. But you can win it here. You'd pull off a miracle, pull off what could be a genuinely amazing run, but time and just everything isn't on your side here. You need to make a move, but you don't know where. He's going to try to go for the plant here, and what is a bit of a hard situation, and Insignia isn't going to be looking there. He's not going to be expecting it. There's a post plant here, and possibly an ace. Foreign at least stays alive. There's a small chance here you could pull something. You're going to see a miracle from the man, but instead, all the hope, all of everything that could have been done by one man brought down as Sins finish it out 7-2. And after, just for a little bit of funsies, we do have a post-game interview with some of the players of Sins. I was thinking this is the first game played, so. You do see the win from Sins. You do see what should be a very, very strong win. And that third map, that confidence you want to see is now you got to be ready to move on to a much, much harder opponent come semifinals. But we can at least talk to them a little bit before then. If my audio works. Game chat, game chat. Oh, we're gonna have to make do with what we have because this one's not working today. Go over to Discord. Very, very convenient for, well, not me, but them, I guess. Gotta find Matt and Wells. Overall, I think I'm a little bit surprised with how it ended. But you do what you can, I guess. There we go. Now I just need them all to join. Might have to do with just one. Well, not really. I think what was expected. But
yeah.
Anything you got to say?
You know, first game we came lost early on. You know, we shouldn't have lost that game. I feel like if we would have locked in more and kept our heart in the games, we would have won the first game too. But at least we kept our composure and took them to map 3 and just shut them out. You know.
I mean, that's what you got to try to do there, and you did win your quarterfinals, at least strong at the very end. But what's next? You guys are gonna have what should be a probably pretty hard semifinals. What are you guys doing to prepare for it?
You know, you gotta watch film, you gotta study, you know, gotta sit back and just, you know,
we need our
keep your composure.
We need our teammates to be more consistent with scheduling.
Yeah, that's
2 E-subs. Or
that's that too. Yeah, we had to get an E-sub, but at least 3 subs showing out, you know. So I mean, I don't really have to say too much because I feel like we should have won that 2-0, but you know, we came back and still won.
Well, what are you guys most fearful of in terms of the entire bracket? Like, what team do you think is going to prove the most challenge?
None, we're goated.
Yeah.
Come on, one team. I know at least one team is certainly getting close.
One team. Okay, I'll give you one team I want to see though, for sure. The UAVs and Squirtle and them. I definitely want to see them.
Well, that's realistically gonna be your semifinals opponent, so be ready for it.
Yeah. That's who we want to see probably, most likely. Bro, it's just
well,
that series was really stressful.
Yeah, they certainly can be, and I mean, you finished out in the very end. You got what you needed. And, yeah, I mean, that's all you really want to see.
That first map was a fluke. That didn't count.
I mean, you got it done in the end. So glad for y'all, and we'll hope to see you guys next week. That'll be all for tonight. Thank you for all of you watching. See
Thanks
you in
for
semis.
hosting and casting, man.